This is going to be one of the best shows that I don't know. I feel like this is one of the best shows I've done. I'm super excited about it. So you won't want to have missed it live. Although around here, people are going to hear this. Here in Fargo Moorhead, we're going to be broadcasting this over the airwaves, and people aren't going to be able to see all the cool things that we put on the screen here inside the studio. But we describe everything. So, we try to make it as interactive as possible.
Yeah.
Here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp
on 88.1 FM KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. You can also find us online at kpppfm.com, where you will find all of our previous shows. And we received a video from one of our listeners that prompted it prompted a lot of research and work that led me to do the show you're hearing tonight.
Yeah.
And that was sent to me. I don't think she'll mind me saying her name. She's one of our listeners. Her name is Lene. She's the one that sent me the video we're about to see tonight. How can folks send us information, Duke, and also contact us?
Yes, I can tell you a few ways. In fact, you brought up something really good is for our radio listeners out there, we do these as live feeds. And so if you want to actually see the show produced in a little bit different format than you hear on the radio, go to kpppfm.com and go to the programs and A Mexican Crossing Line to listen to the programs we're doing, like this one. And also there's other programs of Finding Me and all sorts of other things on there that you can go look at. And another way to you can get a hold of us on the website. There's a contact form, and you can go to the contact form and write us a message. People have done that. It's kind of interesting because I get it, and I know they're looking at the webpage. Another way is on each of the stories, you can actually comment. We leave the comments open. So if you want to get a discussion thread going on the web, go ahead and do that. But, Facebook is something that people use a lot. It's 88.1 Fargo Moorhead. We also have the People's Press Project and Mexi-Can. And also on the screen, we have a telephone number. This is a call-in line. That is basically a message line. It's not, you can't call us and talk to us when we're doing a show. We just don't have that capacity, And you can call that number and leave us a voicemail at 701-566-0917. Also, you can do email. Cindy at kpppfm.com and me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. Also, we have a Twitter account. It's at media_PPP. And also, Cindy has a public page at Cindy Go Schempp. And I think that's, most of the ways you can get a hold of us. And we do appreciate it when you do. And people have been sending a lot of information lately. I've noticed that. You've been flooding with stuff. Keep it coming. We're reading through it. Try to respond. I should give thumbs up when I've read it so you actually know I read it, so you're not wondering but we do read through everything. So we do thank you very much for that.
Yes, thank you very, very much. So, Lene sent me the following video you are about to watch. Just so that everybody's on the same page, I want you to know the title of my show. The topic of my show tonight is Trumped Up, as in trumped up charges.
Yep.
Or alternatively, like being railroaded, what trumped up means.
Trumped up, yep.
Yeah, like that. And so tonight's show is called Trumped Up because it's going to be, you'll see why. It's going to be chock full of information that explains to you and shows you how things have been trumped up in a lot of different ways. I'm going to break that all down for you tonight. So it's time to get your popcorn, time to get your snacks, get comfy, buckle up.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be an interesting ride.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep, definitely. Definitely.
Very, very interesting. To begin with, I want you to know that we're going to be going back into the story of Standing Rock.
Yeah.
But also other things. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to tell you all about it as we go along, but I'm going to tell it to you sort of with the beginning of what kind of set this all in motion, which was Lene's video, which was a video of a man named Marcus Mitchell. And he's standing in front of Morton County's joint
Yeah, law enforcement center.
Law enforcement center they have there, which is the location, the site of many of live stream videos about Standing Rock, because it was a point of contention where a lot of people were arrested. A lot of people did demonstrations, protests, went to court. So there was a lot of live streams that came from this exact location. And the question that Lene posited with me when she sent me this video was, have you seen this? I had not seen this, Lene. I don't know if any of you have seen it, so I'm going to play it in its entirety to give some people a little bit of context for those who don't know. And I don't know how somebody doesn't know what happened at Standing Rock, but it's possible. Because remember when we called to report this all to the FBI?
Oh, yeah.
The lady was like, Standing Rock? And I was like, you're kidding, right?
She had no idea. Yeah.
You're kidding, right?
It was very
What's
useless.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if in case you have been living under a rock and you don't know what Standing Rock is the location of a pipeline protest that took place in 2016.
Yep.
Began in April of 2016, went all the way through February-ish of 2017.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it's been that long ago.
Wow.
I know. It feels like it was just yesterday because we were living through the investigation of the Kathleen Bennett case for an extremely long time. So, you know, I hope you all are caught up on the saga that was the Kathleen Bennett case, the stories that we covered at Standing Rock, and everything that we discovered as a result of that, and also the reporting that we have been doing on water protector Brennan Nastasio, aka Bravo One, the man that disarmed Kyle Thompson at in the river. I was going to say at the edge of the river, but actually it took place in the river. After Mike Fassig and Izzy Hernandez in separate vehicles ran Kyle Thompson off the road by ramming his, they rammed his vehicle off the road. So, and I know I'm sorry if you already knew all of that. I'm just recapping for those who do not. Which leads me to the present day video I'm just about to show you. This was about a man who says he was injured, shot in the eye with a beanbag round on January 18, 2017. Yeah. Here's what he has to say. This video is from a little while ago. I want to say it was last week.
Yeah, it's not very old, but very recent.
So, here you go.
Marcus Mitchell, hello, my name is Marcus Mitchell. I am 22 years of age. I am from the Navajo Nation. I'm an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. I stand here in front of Morton County Sheriff's Department, where a lot of our fellow water protectors were arrested and brutally victimized, brutally jailed, caged. And, I'm standing here and putting my life on the line for the water protectors once again, putting my life knowing I can go to jail when I do this. But, we have to be able to learn to walk without fear. We have to be able to grow from this, grow from the Dakota Access Pipeline movement, and grow from Standing Rock, because we are still hurting from this. What happened to me on January 19, 2017 at the Backwater Bridge on Highway 1806, I was shot by a Morton County Sheriff deputy with a beanbag round fired from a shotgun from 35 feet away. And now, after my injury, I disappeared. I went home. And a lot of people were looking for me. A lot of lawyers, a lot of people in this movement to be able to help me promote what happened, to help me spread the word. And, I left because I seen that corruption in the movement. I didn't want to be flown to nice cities and get a nice dinner and a nice room and all this stuff. I didn't want that, so I went home. I went home to be able to ground myself, to reroot myself to the Mother Earth. And when we did that, now that I see what is happening, everything is wrapping up here in Mandan. the Water Protector Legal Collective is asking anybody with warrants, with anything, to be able to get their court stuff done, because it's not going to be here forever. The Fresh Shit Collective is going to be retiring from this movement in August, and very few defendants are left in standing trial or awaiting sentencing. Red Fawn was sentenced to 57 months in a penitentiary in Phoenix, Arizona. And now, I do not want to put my family through that. I don't want to put our people through that pain and that hardship that Red Fawn and her family and her supporters have endured, have taken in. I'm telling you now, because the next battle is my case. The world does not know. The world knows about Sophia when she got her arm blew off. The world knows about Vanessa Dundon, a.k.a. Susie Desba, when she was shot in the face with a tear gas canister on November 20th, 2016. Me, myself, I am the third person to be shot by Morton County. And the world does not know about this. And, I go to these people, I ask to intercept, they don't help me. I ask, Unicorn Riot, they don't help me. I ask the world, and I be able to try to spread this message, because honestly, y'all, of everybody that got arrested in Standing Rock, North Dakota during the Dakota Access Pipeline protest, I am the only one without a record. That means that I am the only one that was never there. I don't have the fingerprints, the mugshots, and the processing papers necessary for booking somebody in the system. And how we do this, I'm a one-of-a-kind person. There's no other case like mine. Due to the rarity and the severity of how Morton County Sheriff's Department in the state of North Dakota hid me from the public, due to that rarity and the severity of my case has the potential to take down Morton County Sheriff's Department and the Dakota Access Pipeline. This is a very, very big battle. A very, very important one to the movement, to the people, to the indigenous communities across Turtle Island and across the world. And how we do this, we have to be able to get ready. We have to be able to stand together, because, we walk with our sisters, we protect our sisters. Yes, the women are sacred, but who walks with our brothers? Who supports our brothers through these hard times? I rarely see that. And now I'm asking the world, the rest of y'all, to be able to help me spread this message across the world, across your cities, across your reservations, across the couch, and to be able to tell them, yo, you ever guys heard about Marcus Mitchell and he got shot? This case, I'm actually willing to stay here in North Dakota and sacrifice my job, sacrifice my family, sacrifice the corn, so I could stay here and I can fight this battle. But I can't do it alone. And how we do this is together. Does not discriminate. Is how we identify ourselves through our clans, our kinship. That is what keeps us together as Denep. Denep is that is our language, our tongue, the way we speak. And how we do this, the world has to know what happened to me. The world has to know that I was shot. And I need y'all's help. I need the Intercept's help. I need Unicorn Riot's help. I need the WPLC's help. I need y'all's help. Because, it's getting to that point where we can't be silent anymore. We have to tell the world what happened. That night was the first night that the U.S. Army National Guard intervened physically in Standing Rock. And when I say that, the U.S. Army National Guard shot people with their beanbags and their shotguns, their rubber bullets. They threw tear gas at us. Not ever before has a U.S. military unit ever intervened in a public demonstration in that mass. So there's a lot of things that you guys don't know, that everyone doesn't know. I tell these people and they're like, oh, were you shot on November 20th? No. They know about December. They know about when the veterans came and the snow came. They know about Last Child's Camp and the eviction. But nobody knows about January. Nobody. I sent a video out to some of y'all. An hour and a half video, and, it shows that. And I don't get a response back. Every time I try doing this, I get silenced. Every time I try to be able to show the world what happened, I get silenced. or my story doesn't even go out there into the mainstream media. You know, and this is why we're doing this, so we can be able to take this down. You know, because this is what we're fighting. And these people in here, Kyle Kirschman is probably even watching me right now. You know, and let them wave at them, say, you know, pray for them. And how we as an indigenous people, it is our obligation, it is our duty to preserve and protect this for the next 7 generations. Because it's all we have left. It's all we know. And we are willing to fight for this land at all costs. I really do appreciate y'all. You know, y'all want an update on my injury? I was shot in the face by a beanbag round fired from a shotgun from 35 feet away while I had my arms up like that, and those cops still shot me. The injury has torn my face open here, here, and here. My orbital wall, my orbital floor, and my cheekbone is destroyed. I'm blind, I can't see y'all. I wish I could, but I can't. I have impaired hearing. I have a skull fracture that goes up here and right here. I can't feel my face here, 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 here. All these teeth all right here, they're falling apart. The only place I can taste on my tongue is right here. On that side. You know, the injury I have recently found out that this injury has extended to my CR1 and my CR2. These 2 discs back here are damaged. They are bruised. It has extended to my nerves, to my spine. A neurologist, she explained this to me. And she said, Marcus, your head is supposed to support 10 pounds, 12 pounds. That's the weight of your head. But due to the muscle tension and the tearing of muscles in your neck, your head can only support about 4 pounds. And we need to do really extensive surgery on your neck. If we do not, I honestly give your neck about 4 years before it snaps and I become a paraplegic for life. This injury is, you know, it sucks. I'm in pain 24/7 and I can't do anything about it. You know, I was supposed to have a trial on July 5th, but my attorney, he bailed out on me. So I was like, oh darn. You know, he said that, Marcus, I'm not able to represent you due to the insufficient amount of paperwork given to me by Morton County Sheriff's Department. Morton County Sheriff's Department and Sanford Medical Center collaborated with each other to hide me from the public. I was missing for 3 days, 4 days, if you would say so. I was missing for 4 days, and I had to convince a security guard to be able to let me use this phone. So I called my family, and my family called my relatives, and my relatives found me. You know, and when that happened, Morton County Sheriff's Department had 3 days to process me, 3 days to come into the hospital and do this, but they did not because they were afraid, because they knew they messed up. And now, you know, I am being charged with criminal trespass and physical obstruction of a governmental function, 2 Class A misdemeanors. And, you know, we know they're not going to stop. We know they're not going to give in. And maybe they will, yes. But we gotta stand, we gotta be able to fight, because they are coming after me. They are following me. And it's scary, yes, but we have to learn to walk without fear. And remember to walk in beauty. That's the greatest lesson that I have learned since I've been home, is walking in beauty again. You know, I was supposed to have trial on July 5th, but, you know, due to my attorney withdrawing, I went to an initial appearance. And even if I wasn't to go to this initial appearance, I would have gotten a warrant. And it would have tied me down to where I can't file a civil action lawsuit against the state of North Dakota. And when this happened, you know, I knew I had to make the decision, that journey to come up here and stand with Michael Lott, stand with Little Win, stand with my brothers, stand with my sisters. You know, to be able to see how the court works, to see how they do these things myself, so I can go home and tell y'all and how it's happening. You know, and now I have my trial on September 6th, 2018. in Mandan, North Dakota, on the other side, on the other street. And, you know, now I have to be able to find myself an attorney, and I have one. You know, he's a very good man from Chicago, Illinois. You know, and I need y'all's support. I need y'all to be able to stand in solidarity with me. We stood in solidarity with Red Fawn. We stood in solidarity with Vanessa Dundon, with Sonia. You know, we stood in solidarity with our grandmothers on the eviction day. We stood in solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. We stand in solidarity with all people across the world that are fighting these pipelines and fighting these snakes. Now I ask you to stand with me. Stand with me so we can stand together to fight Morton County, so we can be able to win this case, because this case has so much potential and y'all don't know about it. Maybe it's ignorance, maybe it's whatever, but I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself, especially because I was not able to come out and have that strength and have that heart to be able to tell the world what has happened to me. Because it's very hard for me to ask for help, yeah? It's very hard to be able to show that love, to feel that love, you know, and being through such hate and such racism, you know, and coming back to it has reminded me of what we're fighting, of what we're standing for. You know, coming and going into the courts is, yes, it's like a bridge. You're nervous, you're scared, but when you're standing there with a mass of 100 people, 200 people, with your fists in the air and saying, Mini Wachoni, water is life, you know what you're standing for and you're not afraid. You know you can get shot, you know you can die, but you stand there in solidarity and support for a greater future, for a greater opportunity for our children, and this is what this is. I don't like to do that, you know, but this is the potential for this case. And I do really appreciate y'all being able to take this time to listen to me and listen to my story. You know, I'll stay here. You know, I'll stay here because I'm willing to stay here for my people. I'm willing to stay here and take this energy, this negativity, so my people can walk in beauty. Sometimes we have to send these warriors out to stand and take in all this negativity so that our women can walk in beauty and walk in a safe path. You know, we're willing to do this. We're willing to give our lives for our people. We're willing to, you know, put our lives on the hold so we can work on this case. We can work on the civil action lawsuit, because there is potential in all of us. There is heart in all of us. I went back to the Osheti Oyate camp. You know what I found there? I found our fires still there. Our fireplaces are still there. And you can see it because nothing grows around that fire. It's just the fire. The graffiti that's still there from a year and a half ago is still there. Much props to y'all, Traz. You wonderful job. Your painting's still there. You know, Red Warrior, y'all's painting is still there. You know, I find trash there. You know, I find little toys. You know, I find medicines. You know, I found a drumstick there, but I left it there. Right by the Cannonball River, right next to the Rosebud Camp, there was this fireplace with the bricks still there, and it was growing. You know, they may have taken away our home, but we are still there. Our fires are still growing bright, and we have to be able to endure that pain and take it on and make this fire go big and strong. Restoring the beauty in our lives, restoring the beauty in each other. You know, and I really do appreciate this. We're going it. Always and forever, no dapple, y'all. Yeah.
Okay, so that was pretty intense. We have to kind of break some of the things that
definitely
were said in that, because I had not heard about this.
No.
And I think I might have seen the video of him in the hospital at some point, or heard that but I don't think I ever like watched the whole way through, and I also don't think I ever heard about it again later on,
No.
like an update, like this. Remember that guy? Whatever happened to him? Because he was, it was unclear how severe his injuries were. As when Susie got hit, Susie Dundon, she also, it was very unclear for a long time how much vision she would have, if any.
Yeah.
But this young man says he's blind.
Yeah.
He's completely blind in that eye. He said he is got a skull fracture. His face was torn open in 3 places. His orbital wall and that whole area was, and his cheekbone was smashed, destroyed. His cheekbone was destroyed. He had a skull fracture, impaired hearing, nerve damage, loss of taste. In his tongue, he can only taste in one area, blindness in one eye, cervical spine injury with need for multiple surgeries to avoid paralysis, and chronic pain.
Yes.
And that's almost equally severe, if not more severe, obviously, than Susie. And if I recall correctly, when he first reported these injuries, the cops not only shot him, they also arrested him in a way in which they were literally standing on his neck.
Wow.
So they probably not only permanently damaged his spine, cervical spine, and left him with cervical spine injuries that, according to his doctors, he needs to repair, or within 4 years his neck will snap, leaving him paralyzed.
It's horrible.
So he's going to have permanent, lifelong medical needs, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to, and it appears, and of course, I don't know anything about the details of what really happened to him, because I wasn't there, I wasn't a witness. But there were a lot of people that were there, because multiple people got arrested on that date for that action that took place on that bridge. Okay? And here are some of the claims that he makes that are really very important for me to go over.
Yes.
Okay? He claims in this video, and this is not, I did reach out to him, by the way. He indicated an interest in speaking to me. He has not given me a way for me to contact him. I did request that he give me a way to talk to him with phone or something. And I will give you an update if I do get a chance to talk to him. But for the meantime, I've done this research on this video and what I'm about to show you. And here's what I found. In this video, he asserts that he was shot on the 18th and on 2017 on the bridge, right? And he said that he was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Essentially, that he was hidden, right?
Yep.
Did you hear that?
I sure did.
By who?
The police.
And
The National Guard.
he specifically said he was shot by the police.
Yeah.
But he said that Morton County, in conjunction with Sanford Health, were keeping him hostage.
That's right, the hospital itself, yeah.
Sanford Health, the hospital here in Fargo,
Yeah.
and specifically, and I know the name of the doctor that that treated him, the eye doctor. He's also an emergency room doctor in Bismarck. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head right this second.
Yeah.
Right this second. Well, wait, maybe I do. Maybe I do. No, I can't find it. Anywho, let me just say, do you remember a time when we told you a story on 88.1 about someone being kidnapped and stuck in a hospital, and their family members not being allowed to see them or talk to them, and them being the staff being complicit in a criminal case in which they colluded with Morton County authorities to make up false claims, including staff members working at the hospital lying in the records? Yeah, that was Kathleen Bennett's story.
Yeah.
So of course, I'm like, holy God.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's happening in similar time period,
I know that this is possible, So, of course, Mr. Mitchell has my attention because we know firsthand that this happens and that it did happen to Mary and to her family, and that innocent woman would have been in jail but for our help. Because he also says that he went to The Intercept, Unicorn Riot, and the WPLC, and that none of them helped him.
Yep.
Okay. We also, in the Kathleen Bennett case, went to Unicorn Riot. We did not go to The Intercept.
No.
Because we did not. Well, actually, I tried to go to The Intercept. I requested that one of our colleagues in the Media Action Grassroots Network give me their contact for at The Intercept, and they did not really feel comfortable doing that or helping us on that. So we weren't able to get that
Plus,
contact.
there's numerous media that we contacted for help, and no one came
TYT.
forward. TYT being one of them.
The Young Turks.
The Young Turks. So Jordan Sheridan. None of them were willing to cover the story.
Witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case and Wesley Clark Jr., including Kathleen Bennett's son Russell, went directly to the studios of TYT and met with Anna Kasparian. Directly spoke to her, and she agreed this was a major story they needed to cover and would help, and wanted to get Kathleen Bennett out of that jail as soon as possible. And then crickets.
Yep.
Again, because remember, Jordan Sheridan in the past also denied our help. So I'm sitting here thinking, wow, lots of similarities already. I'm seeing the similarities. They're very, very disturbing. But then he says the WPLC is kaput as of August. And they have, I mean, what did you make of that? They're closing shop? There's no more water protectors to defend, or they ran out of money?
Well, I think it's probably all three. I think one thing that they're doing is they're running away with the money because they raised so much money during that process. I mean, if you just look at the bail money alone, to over $3 million for bail, and you count up all the bail of all the water protectors who were arrested, it doesn't come to that. And many of these cases have been dismissed. All those dismissed cases, that money comes back to them. I think he was saying, and I believe him, that they're going to close their doors and they're going to move on to something else. They're going to disband their organizations and move on. And it makes me wonder. I know they're down to like 175 cases, but this man, Marcus Mitchell, has been denied access to the Water Protector Legal Collective. He had an attorney for a little while, for a few months, and then he bailed. He's sitting there without an attorney, facing charges that he has to go to trial for in September. And they've postponed his trial because his attorney booked, Chad Nodlin. We'll show you on documents that we have tonight as we've looked at his case. When I look at those documents, his story matches, the timelines match. And and I was saying the other night, I said, don't you usually have bail on arraignment and charges and bail? He doesn't have any of that. He's telling the truth. He said on there, I'm an unusual case. I wasn't even recorded as being arrested, yet I was held in captive by the police. And
that's a false arrest.
Yeah, his charges didn't come out until 11 months later.
Okay, let me just pause for a moment and explain to you why what he said is true, that this is an unusual case. It's unusual because this has never happened. Well, yes, it has. In the sense that I've seen somebody that was imprisoned by cops in a jail come out of the jail and not have any paperwork or charges. Beth Hentkowski.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, she was at the
Morton County did this before.
Yeah, she was at the prayer circle at the Capitol. In fact, she was in the Bismarck Tribune newspaper on the front page.
Right.
And she came to our house because we were doing respite of support for
Chad Nodland.
With Chad Nodland.
The lawyer with well, at his request, he asked us to get people out of jail.
And when she got to our house, I was there and basically received her coming out of jail. When we got here and we were talking, like, what does everybody need? Where do you need to go? Should we get back to camp? Let's find transportation. Let's feed you. She says, well, I was in there and they never called my name. And so I rose my hand and I said, Judge, what about my case? And he said, what's your name? And he looked through all the paperwork and he said, there's no paperwork here for you. So you haven't been arrested. You're free to go. So she left, and she said, I'm free. And that was the Morton County that incarcerated the person, never did the paperwork or whatever happened. I don't know what happened. She came out. She had to spend 2 days in jail, be transported all the way from Mandan to Fargo. And it wasn't a good trip because we got testimony from all those people. And then she was like free to go, after a few days. And she's like, what the heck,
I would like for any attorney, if an attorney is listening, if you've ever heard of something like this, email me, send me the story or how this is even possible, because how does he get charged when he was never booked? He was never booked. I'm going to show you the court docket in a minute, okay?
That's true. He's never booked.
He was never booked. He was held in a hospital, chained to a bed. Well, handcuffed to a bed.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mitchell was handcuffed to the bed, and he was kept there against his will without being allowed contact with his family, much like in the Kathleen Bennett case was done to Mary Trujillo, separated from her family, okay? These are the claims that he's making. But if you look at the court docket, indeed, he was never charged formally or booked ever. How are there charges?
Yeah.
He was never he still has never been arrested. He claims that a guard inside, who of course then would be a witness, and I want to know where's that guard?
Yeah.
Did you get his name? Somebody at the hospital needs to be able to verify what the guard's name was that was on duty and who the guard worked for, because why was there a guard if it wasn't a cop from Morton County? That guard worked for the hospital, and that's a thing, kids.
Yeah.
You can go to the hospital and some security guard from the hospital could just tie you down and keep you there without charging you, without telling you why. I mean, that's assuming all of this is true, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of take this at face value because of the horrific things we saw Morton County do.
Exactly.
We saw the people at Ascension. Wasn't Ascension
St.
Health?
Alexis.
St. Alexius. Yes, I want to
Alexius.
make sure I say the right name of the hospital.
Yep.
Chai St. Alexius in Bismarck did in the Kathleen Bennett case with Mary Trujillo. So I wanted to note that. I also wanted to note this, and this is important. I am not calling Mr. Mitchell a liar. I don't know his story. I would love to give him an opportunity to clarify this. I know he was very seriously injured, and I have acknowledged that. However, I have questions. Here's what I have questions about. 6 days after he was injured, he spoke to a UN delegation at Prairie Knights Casino. I will show you that. And at this event where he spoke to this delegation, he said that he was shot. Here's an article in Censored News that talks about his testimony to the Prairie Knights Casino delegation from the United Nations. Okay, and he went to the United Nations. This Navajo man Dine, who went to speak to them about this very, very serious injury, blindness in his eye. He's lost the vision forever. He's got permanent nerve damage, all this stuff. And he says it was a cop. He tells them he was shot by a cop. He says very specifically in a video that is it attached to this article here? Was that where the video was?
I think so, yes.
There's another picture really horrifying of his eye. You can see his, it's horrifying injuries there. And then lower on this, you can see a video. Oh, no, this is not the one. Okay. So anyway, this is his testimony there that they printed. And you can also go to the next one. Yes, this was on Democracy Now! And by the way, on the Democracy Now! Show, there was commentary afterwards. And the commentary was from Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth. Incidentally, and I've told you this before, but it bears repeating. Because that woman, Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, would have a lot to say, could do a lot to help this particular person that she commented on during Democracy Now! And their showing of his testimony to the UN.
Yeah.
Also, Bobby Jean Three Legs was commenting. And the person that was there was Winona LaDuke, right?
Yep.
She's the fiscal agent. Their Honor the Earth is the fiscal agent of the Freshet.
Mm-hmm.
The Freshet Collective collected millions of dollars for legal defense funds. And they were giving money to the WPLC. And the WPLC was also raising their own money. And don't forget that another person that is with Honor the Earth, that is involved in these water protector cases, that was speaking to The Intercept, that was on a panel discussion with The Intercept, was Tara Houska.
Yeah, exactly.
The same lawyer, Tara Houska, that has been involved in talking to Brennan Nastasio and was telling them all the stuff I told you in the shows about how Brennan Nastasio, a.k.a. Bravo 1, has been jerked around by the WPLC in his request for assistance. And he's gone to all these different attorneys. And he's actually been attacked and told and threatened by one attorney and told lies by others. But one attorney even made threats against BJ's case.
Yeah.
In writing. This is... these things are so far out of the ordinary in the legal world. I don't know where to begin, folks. That's how I'm a paralegal. I'm not an attorney, but as a paralegal, you get to see a lot of things in the courtroom. I did second chair in administrative court, in federal court, and in district court. I've translated in all these arenas. I have, I've never had a chance to sit in the Supreme Court, but I will say this.
Yeah.
I've been around to a lot of different courts, and I have never heard of a thing like this, where someone does not get booked, does not get charged, but somehow still has to go to court. And with such huge injuries, such a very out there story, it was a very important story.
Yeah.
That went to the UN. I mean, do you remember who else went that was speaking to the UN? There was a lot of people there that went to speak to the UN people, and then there was other people that went afterwards to the UN in New York.
Yeah.
So, what I was going to say about that is, how is it that the media, that the WPLC, that all of these live streamers and stuff missed this story? What do you think of that? How is that even possible?
I'm baffled at it. I'm also personally thinking, well, how come I didn't see it? And, I think at the time I remember, it was things were so horrible at that point that so many things were happening. It was horrible all the way around. There were injured people. There were so many people arrested. There was this mayhem. And we thought the Water Protector Legal Collectors is going to help take care of people. And people were promoting them. And they were taking on cases. How did he disappear?
How did they miss this?
He disappeared. And he went and spoke 4 or 5 days after his injury. He was at Prairie Nights Casino telling the UN representatives what happened to him, and it's like, and then a few people posted about it, and then no one cared anymore. No one promoted it. All the live streamers were at their height at that time. Unicorn Riot was this supposed to be the source of on the ground news. No one put this forward. It's shocking. It's shocking.
And also, I have these burning questions. I want to interview Marcus so he can answer all of them for me, but here are some of my burning questions. I'm just going to speak them out loud because they're in my head, okay?
Yep.
He asserted that the National Guard, in the video you just saw, he specifically said the National Guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not what he said to the UN people.
No.
He specifically said that it was a police officer.
Yeah.
In fact, he said it was I'm going to quote from a video. Can I show you? Can you please post up the article where that video or that screen capture of where that video that I told you was too long for us to play? Because it is too long. And y'all can go watch it if you want. But that's the same one that you just put up a little while ago. I don't want that one.
I've only got 2 in here.
Huh?
I've only got 2 articles in here. Censored News and Democracy Now!
Oh, so the other one that had the video that we were not gonna play.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
You didn't grab a screen capture.
No, I'm sorry about that. I don't have that one.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, just know that there was a link to a video that was supposed to show you. There he is in the hospital bed. Up higher in the hospital bed. Nope, need to close that. Up higher, left, right there, in the hospital bed.
Yeah,
that's the video.
Okay.
So I think that you downloaded the video, but can you get a screen capture? Did you get a screen capture of that video? It's not in there, honey.
Okay.
I promise you it's not in there. I swear to God, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to believe me. I don't think you put it in there at all. Anyway, there is a video of him in the hospital bed, and I think you might have seen this originally. He talks about, and this is, I think, several days after his injury. So it's fine, honey. Just that you're
okay,
honey.
Yes,
it's fine.
Good.
Please come back to me. Come back to the show.
Oh, I'm in the show.
On
the video, well, it was on the video. He was in his hospital bed, and we decided not to play it, and I have it downloaded, but I forgot to screenshot that page. But he was talking about his injuries when he's in the hospital. But also on that same page, there was another link to another video, and that video I can't find. It was he mentioned that video in his live stream he did the other day, that there was an 1.5-hour video, and that video has been removed. And I think it had more details of what happened. And the only other video I could find was on one of the Facebook pages. It was a dark video. You couldn't see faces. You had a lot of noise.
Yeah.
But he's talking specifically about an 1.5-hour long video that seems to have been deleted or lost or something.
Yeah,
I couldn't find. I found a page that actually referenced and had the very beginning description of what it was, and you clicked on the link and went to sorry, this page doesn't exist. So
right.
So
there's not very much, there's no video of the actual incident that I know of.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong about that, if you know about something I don't know, let me know, right? But in the video that he does from the hospital bed, he says the following, and I quote, "It was a Bismarck police officer with orange gloves." He also said that he was about 30 feet from the cop when the shooting occurred, and that he was hit by a beanbag round that was traveling at 400 feet per second.
Wow.
I mean, of course, you can see the severity of the damage that something like that can do at such short range, right in the eye. And of course, we heard from people that were shot on November 20th that Morton County was aiming for vital parts of the body and the head. They were taking kill shots. They were trying to take kill shots of people out there. This is, horrific abuse. But, I have that discrepancy to question because saying the National Guard is very specific. There were over 70 plus law enforcement agencies involved out there. Most people couldn't pick out what agency was out there or how many different ones were out there at the same time. So for him to have been able to assess that it was specifically a National Guardsman and never have mentioned it before, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not true. If it were true, that's incredible, and we would need to look for the evidence of it. But also, why was it just brought up now? I'd like to know that. And then, of course, he mentioned this very specific thing about why he went home, because he kind of stayed quiet, and he didn't tell the story, and he said he didn't have the courage to tell the story. My question about that is, what he was, I would follow up on what he said about the corruption he saw. He said, I saw the corruption.
Yeah.
Who did you see the corruption in and where and for why? I want to know more about what that is. And then, of course, he says that he didn't want to be flown around to all these different places and wined and dined, essentially. So he went home. So he literally kind of said something that just seems out of place. Why would that have been the other alternative?
Yeah.
If he had stayed, he would have had to have flown around all over the place and go wine and dined, or that just seems odd to me because it makes it seem as if those are the only two options. What do you make of it, Duke?
Well, I think it's hard to say. I'll just have to make up stuff. But for me, he's alluding to things that we just don't know. It's puzzling. I really hope that he does call you and talk to you and fill out those details, because we need to know, because like I said, I'll only be making up stuff because I don't have enough information. But there's something really, really, really fishy going on that is something that really needs to be dealt with, and the truth needs to get out. And this man's asking for our help. He's asking us to be able to help him with his case, because he has a criminal case to deal with first with no attorney, but he also has a civil case that he has, that he wants to pursue, because he's been injured. He has been so injured that it's deadly force and all sorts of issues with his body, and he's owed some sort of restitution for that sort of damage that has happened to him, and especially from our police officers who are supposed to serve the community, which haven't been serving the community. So I think it's really important that this man gets help and his story gets out with more detail, and he has to tell some of those things that we don't know about. We don't know what happened, from the time that he was in the hospital bed till the time he got an attorney from the Water Protector Legal Collective, which was 11 months later. What happened in the meantime?
Exactly. And again, I said I reached out to Marcus. He said he was interested in talking to me. I have not talked to him, so I don't know the details. I'm just going off of this video we just showed you. Mm-hmm. He also said there were very few defendants left. I think there's still quite a few, actually.
Well, I've been looking at the Water Protector Legal Collective webpage, and they've print up brochures. I think the last one printed up was in June, but there was like close to 270 some cases.
And those are the ones we know of.
Yeah, the ones we know of, the ones they've been tracking. There's plenty of other ones that they haven't, the ones that they supposedly have something to do with.
We know for a fact that some cases fell through the cracks, and I think that the number of cases that fell through the cracks would probably surprise and anger a lot of folks, which is why we're talking about it, because I think it's important. He alleges that and I'm going to point out the fact that Brendan Nastasio, a.k.a. Bravo 1, the guy that disarmed Kyle Thompson, his trial has not even been set. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's a thing. And it makes me very concerned for Brendan's case that he's saying that the Freshet and the Water Protector Legal Collective aren't going to be helping anyone anymore, because I believe that they have a contract in which they have, how are they going to meet their obligations to all the people that they've already told they're going to support financially through their trials?
Well, he's talking about that his WPLC lawyer dumped him. Yeah. And what's going to happen to the people that need representation, that were led to believe that the Water Protector Legal Collective was going to help them? Are they just going to drop out of sight and you're on your own? I mean, even if you have a contract, what they're going to do about it? They just close shop and move on. You have to sue them. Well, you're facing criminal charges and you need representation and money for an attorney. I'm very concerned about what he's talking about. And I think that, WPLC, they better start talking about what they're doing about, because they have obligations to people in the community, hundreds and hundreds of people in the community.
Yes, they do. And let me tell you something. I find it highly, highly questionable that this guy was never charged. This isn't something that happens rarely, where somebody doesn't get charged and they end up having charges, and they were never arrested, they were never booked, they were no bail was ever set, nothing. They never set foot inside of the jail, but they have to go to court on criminal charges. And the reason for that is because I've never seen it. As far as I know, it's never been done. It's not a thing you can't do it. But here it is. It is, folks. It's like we just found a unicorn. Mm-hmm. He's right. It's rare. It's like the only case I've ever heard of in my entire life. So now let's move along to the fact that I believe this man to have said, not in this video, but in other videos. I told you there was a video where he talked a lot about what happened that night. He said Joy Brunn of the Indigenous Environmental Network.
Yeah.
Okay, that Joy Brunn took a bullet for Marcus. So she was there. She was a witness to what happened to this guy on that night. And I'm sure that there were many, many others. Why haven't those folks stepped forward to support this water protector who had some of the most horrific injuries I have heard of? Like, how are any of the people that were there, that were involved, how can they say that they're, leave no one behind water protectors when they've left one of the worst injured water protectors all alone.
That's right, and they're part of organizations like the IEN, which is a huge nonprofit organization that has resources. And why aren't they have been a mouthpiece for this man who has been injured? They were speaking about other people, and like you said, there had to be people present that were all part of this. He talked about someone that pushed him to the ground.
A lot of these people used Brennan's name, used this kid's name, used injured people's names. You know what for? To raise money off of Standing Rock victims. And I have to say, the WPLC raised a lot of money, and so did the Freshet, and so did a lot of other organizations that were out there. The question I have for them is, with all of that money that you raised for water protectors, how could you have missed this one? How did you miss Kathleen Bennett? And how did you miss Brennan Nastasio? How did so many incredibly important cases out there, some of the most important cases, just fall through like the giantest of cracks? Please explain that to me. Can someone please explain that to me? Okay. And here's another thing. Can we show his docket?
Yes, we can.
Here's all the people that got arrested along with him, right? So that's all the people that got arrested along with him. There were 17 people in total arrested along with Marcus Mitchell on the 19th, wasn't it? The 19th? Like, I'm sure that was like the wee hours of the morning. And so you can look here. There was a warrant for an arrest. It was later canceled. He was never arrested. He was never formally booked. No bail was set.
No.
He didn't.
There was no plea.
There was no plea. And then there's Chad Nodland for the defendant, appearing in December of 2017, December 5th.
11 months later.
11 full months after the non-arrest. Okay, the non-arrest. This is how Morton County does, willy-nilly. They shoot out a guy's eye, leave him with permanent injuries, nearly snap his neck in half and kill him, keep him hostage in a hospital. They do not allow him even to call his family. He has to beg a guard to have sympathy on him, to let him use his phone, and he gets a hold of his family and tells them where he is. They didn't even know if he was dead or alive or where he was at. And then you can see here, he requests discovery, and then after that, he makes another request for the storage device, discovery on a storage device. And then, of course, there's keep going. Finally, there is a cancellation? No, that was a pretrial conference that was canceled. And there's the motion to withdraw from counsel on 6/22/18. So he did drop him, as he said. He's removed himself as counsel for this person. And if it is correct that he said that he did not get any discovery, and or he was not given sufficient discovery, my guess is that both are true. You can remove that now. That the thing is that what really happened is, like in Kathleen Bennett's case, like in Brennan's case, they delay giving you your discovery so you can even mount a defense, screw up your opportunity for a proper, a good defense in your trial from your attorneys, and eat up all the bulk of your time in your case, so that when you finally get an attorney, they have to run a marathon to try to defend you before your trial.
And use up all the money. But why would an attorney quit? Why would someone just say, well,
I don't even know if they can ethically do that.
I'm just going to quit because I haven't gotten the documents. Your Honor, I haven't got the documents and I can't launch a good defense. I quit. And this person's not going to have any counsel. It's like, what is that about? And in those records, those are publicly available records that you can look up on the North Dakota website. But each one of those motions and the rules they have on there, you can't click on that and go to the actual documents of the court. You have to be an attorney that has that sort of access to be able to go in that. So you have to find an attorney or maybe a law library.
He said he has one from Chicago now.
So you can then find out all that other stuff on there. I'm saying as a layperson trying to understand what's going on, what was the thing that Chad Nodlin submitted? What did the judge say? Why was he granted that? And then this guy, was left out on his own, and luckily he does have an attorney. It's not listed on that yet because the attorney would have to file some paperwork to actually represent him, and he has that trial coming up in September. That's not very much time to launch his whole defense.
No, I mean, it's definitely not enough time to launch his defense, but at least he's got an attorney.
Yeah.
And hopefully it isn't one that is ineffective. As you know, Brennan Nastasio, a.k.a. Bravo 1, had to fire two WPLC lawyers, Bruce Nestor and Jeffrey Haas, because they were not being effective or helpful in his case.
Mm-hmm.
And he also lost a lot of time on his case, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about Brennan's case in just a moment, in a while, in the future. I'm going to have to do so many shows to cover the information I have for you. But listen, there was one guy who recently, I think it was just this Monday, finally interviewed, if you could really call this that, Mr. Marcus, and that was John Gonzalez. Here is the post that he made on Monday about his conversation with Marcus Mitchell, and he basically tells Marcus's story, or lets Marcus tell his story on his platform. He does have quite a large following. Mr. John Gonzalez, as you can see here from his profile, was at Standing Rock, and many of you may have met him, may know him, may have talked to him or seen him in pictures. He was all connected to an awful lot of people. And as you can see, and this was very interesting to me, he's from Bogota, New Jersey, lives in Wakefield, Rhode Island, went to Standing Rock, was the founder of Standing Bear Network. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Works at Standing Bear Network and manages, and this is the interesting part, politics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Politics and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone, he manages politics and stuff. Politics and stuff. And of course, I've covered a lot of the people in the not so progressive movement in the not real progressive show I did.
Exactly, yeah.
It was called Not Real Progressives, and Emo can drop that link in the comment section so you can get informed about politics and stuff and a whole bunch of these fake progressive platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope that the use of this man's platform will help to spread the news so that more people hear and sympathize and support Mr. Marcus in his efforts to tell his story. I don't know how many of these fake and phony and sold out live streamers and or fake progressive platforms are going to actually do for him, but I wish him a lot of luck, and I hope that he gets the support and the help that he needs.
Well, part of it is spreading the story, that this has happened, and that's when, we heard about it because someone sent us a video, and now we're talking about it. There'll be more information, hopefully we get, and we'll keep on spreading the information. Other people need to do that too, because that's how you can reach people with the resources that are going to come forward and help this man, and that has to happen.
Okay, now, I told you there was 17 other people, or were 17 people in total arrested, right?
Yes.
There's only 3 of them left. 3 of them left out of all of these co-defendants. There's only 3 of them that haven't pled guilty.
Yes.
All the rest of them took plea deals,
mm-hmm.
except for 3. Marcus is one of them. Marcus is having his hearing on September 5th. The other 2, and I'm about to tell you who the other 2 are because this is hella interesting, are having their hearing tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, folks. Tomorrow. I wish I was in Bismarck tomorrow so I could be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
And in Bismarck tomorrow will appear Jameson Dargan and Matthew Roby. These two people have their hearing tomorrow. They are also co-defendants. They were also arrested on the same in the same action on the same day that this other young man was shot. Okay, and they are represented by lawyers. They do have lawyers.
Yeah.
Here's Dargan's case, and look at his lawyers. He's got how many lawyers does he have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 5 lawyers.
5 lawyers. He's got no wait. One. No, you said he had only retained 1, 2, 3, 4. The other guy down there at the very bottom is the other side's.
Yep.
So
there's 5. There's a retained. They're all retained, and then this is the prosecutor.
That's the prosecutor. Yeah. So there is 5.
1.
Oh,
2,
the top. It's
3,
the one at the
4,
top.
5.
Yeah, you are right. Dang! Look at all the different attorneys that they have up there.
Yeah.
How many do you need?
Yeah.
This is just one dude.
Yes.
He has 5 attorneys. It says the attorneys for Dargan, and also Roby. I'm going to show you those in a second, but I wanted to show you how many attorneys this guy has. The attorney for Dargan and Roby is none other than Bruce Nestor, if you notice there.
I see that.
One of them is Bruce Nestor, WPLC lawyer that was fired by BJ and Sam. And I want you to notice he's on as a representative. Remember, he's a WPLC lawyer for Mr. Dargan. Mm-hmm. He was also the lawyer for, and it was a conflict of interest for him to be so, the girlfriend of Marcus.
Oh.
BJ Nastasio had to have his case severed from Marcus's because Marcus was the snitch, the informant.
That's right.
That turned state's evidence in that case. Mm-hmm. And he was represented by the WPLC too.
Yeah.
Why are you representing all the bad guys and leaving all the good guys without representation? WPLC.
Yeah, exactly.
I have questions about it.
Yeah, explain yourself.
And interestingly, and I have to tell you this because it's just, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, okay? Just a little bit. I'm not going to go into the details real big. I actually recently talked to the mother of Jameson Dargan because she was my friend. Well, she is my friend on Facebook. And I had an occasion in which I had to contact her. Well, I didn't have to contact her. But first of all, let me tell you a little bit more. You guys remember who Jameson is, don't you? Jameson is the guy from the last man standing at Standing Rock. That should be called Last White Man Standing at Standing Rock.
Yeah.
White man standing at Standing Rock. And he was on the roof up there, and this is a GoFundMe that he put up for himself where he was trying to raise money for some invention or some gardening thing he's doing or something like that. And he was obviously raising this money off of the name of, it says right there, it's an inventor fund, because he has an invention in mind that he would like to put forth. And he is going off of the fame of what he did at Standing Rock, being the last man standing at Standing Rock, right?
Yes.
But you may also recall that he worked with Ed Higgins of Activate Now.
Yeah.
He reported for Ed Higgins of Activate Now. Take a look here. This is him doing an Activate Now video. And here's another one that he did, an Activate Now video. And here's another one where he was reporting on Activate Now. Here's another one where he was reporting on Activate Now. And here's another one where he was reporting on Activate Now. And here is another one when he was reporting on Activate Now. I just wanted to make clear, he reported for Activate
Yes, he
Now.
did. There's evidence right there.
Right. And so, and I was not aware that he was at Standing Rock when I made this call to Victoria Dargan, because I wasn't paying attention to, I'll be honest, I was trying to focus on Indigenous people and Indigenous stories, and a lot of the white folks out there that were putting themselves, centering themselves, were kind of a turnoff to me. So I never really picked up on this dude. But also, he was, I obviously missed how many reporters or correspondents Ed Higgins' Activate Now had, any more than I absolutely needed to be aware of, because they were all horrible people.
Yeah.
Like, his son, Michael Fassig, another one of the correspondents, Michael Fassig,
Yeah.
who is out there at the camp that was, the guy that ran Kyle Thompson off the road right before he was disarmed by Bravo, by BJ Nastasio. That guy's son raped a girl and kidnapped her and held her hostage. And Aubrey Peckham, another correspondent for Activate Now, was there and aided and abetted and in the maintaining of the kidnapping, and then lied using their Activate Now platform about a kidnapping, about a crime, and tried to cover up for Fassig, for Derek Fassig, not the dad, who was an informant, as was Mike Fassig himself, an informant. So Michael Mark is an informant, Derek Fassig an informant, Mike Fassig an informant. All of them, except for Derek, had help from the WPLC as well.
And many were Activate Now correspondents.
And they were Activate Now
Aubrey Peckham was doing stuff with Courtney Doctor, and they think they made Courtney Doctor an Activate Now correspondent. They were giving out that badge to all sorts of people. I remember at one point there was all these Activate Now correspondents all over people's pages.
There was a lot of weirdos.
Yeah, and there were a lot of horrible people doing horrible things at camp and out of camp and at Flint. And the Activate Now was supporting all that. It was very horrible,
They were committing crimes.
Yes.
Like it was beyond horrible. It was like they were committing fraud. They were, involved. And of course, as you know, I had Missy Waddell on who accused Ed of raping her.
Yes.
So when I saw, because this popped up on my newsfeed, because I'm friends with Jameson's mom. She used to live here in my town, right?
Yeah.
She was living in Florida. I see Ed Higgins pop up in a video on her page, which she was promoting, asking people to give it up for this great hero water protector that's coming to stay at her house to help people with hurricanes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh no, this guy is dangerous. I should warn my friend that she's in danger. And I messaged her right away and I said, hey, run.
Yeah.
Ed Higgins has been accused of rape. Yeah, he's sexually assaulted a woman. There's a lot of evidence that a lot of other bad things follow this man everywhere he goes. And she was very curt and rude and angry that I mentioned it at all, and told me she's heard the rumors about Ed, and he's a person that helped her son, and so she was going there like, hey, she basically told me, He's with my son. They're partners. They're working together, and that's what I'm supporting. Rapes be damned.
I know.
And I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, and she was like telling you that she's gonna not mind what you're saying, and it was pretty bad what they did in Florida, And I think when you were talking to her the last time, she was like, she did have some remorse about that because he was doing crappy things to his then girlfriend Mona Cedillo.
Right.
And so there was a conflict that was brought right into her house that she didn't want to deal with, that you warned her about. You warned her, and she was like, yeah, there was, had to get them out of here quickly,
Yeah, I actually have that interview. I've never played it, and I never thought it would come up. But now that her son is going to court, could be very interesting to hear what she had to say about him having to go to court, and also about Ed and Mona and all the stuff that happened there. But here's the thing that she told me in the recent call. In the recent call, when and I have to tell you, it was kind of funny because recently when the whole rape of Lacey went to court and people were publicly denouncing Ed Higgins, Derek, and Mike, and all of these men who either raped, covered up the rape, or like criminals, complicit in this tirade of people came out against these men and made videos and made public decrees saying, like, are you friends with this person? Take me off your friends list. So that was going on. And one of the people that contacted me was Missy. And she said, When did you tell that lady in Florida about my rape? Because Missy had seen this woman's. She's also my friend, so she saw this woman promoting Ed on my page, and she was like, "Cindy, one of your friends is promoting this guy?
Yeah.
What the hell, Cindy?" I was like, "Who? What?" So of course, like I completely expected a totally different reaction from this woman, who I thought was like, "Oh, cool," like, and it was really weird. So. Anyway, flash forward to the recent past when the case was going to court. She asked me to find out when that was, and so I went back into my messenger conversation to screen capture the messages I sent to her about him and the timestamp and everything, so that I could show Missy when it actually took place way back then. And I accidentally sent it to her instead.
Oh, yes. That's what happened. Now I remember that.
And so then she called me on Messenger and she was like,
What's up
with this? And so I had to tell her, well, Missy, the person that was raped by Ed, was asking me because, Ed's been involved in another rape now and covering up the rape of Lacey Jean Williams with Mike Fassig, the other guy that was working with him and all that stuff. Remember when I told you about that many months ago? The crimes just keep on coming.
Yep.
And now... people were asking me, well, who else did you tell? Who else ignored this before? And you were one of those people. And she was like, but,
Yeah.
Interesting conversation, folks. Y'all should hear it sometime.
We probably will.
But I digress. I'm going to move on. Here's
Okay.
why I told you the story. Because she told me, I really didn't have much to do with them, and neither did my son. And you know what? That Mona, she had some blame in there too, and they're all crazy, and I had to get them out of here, and I don't have nothing to do with them. I don't even go on Facebook anymore. I live under a rock. I never talk to those people. They're not in my life, blah, 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 blah. But I hear things. I learn things that you will never know how I even had the opportunity to learn. And I learned that after I had that conversation with her, she called Mona Cedillo, the person that she doesn't even talk to. She don't really know that well. And she got kicked out of her house and cried to her on the phone that she had just had this very scary call with Cindy Gomez-Schempp of 88.1 FM. Why
scary.
the dread? Why the instant dread? Like, I don't get that part.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of like this mea culpa with I don't know these people. You remember we got that from Elaney, from Bassig, all these people. Oh, we don't know each other. I don't know anything about that. I never heard of this before. What?
But she's willing to talk to you, so I think that was good. That
it was.
You did lay out some stuff for her she didn't know, and she had to reconsider some of the things that she had been standing on before.
Yeah, I told her we need to stand by each other as women. That's what I told her. I said, that's what you need to do. Like, this is the time. Have you heard of Me Too?
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, and she, and I showed you, her son had extensive amounts to do with Activate Now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and who knows, to what extent that is continuing or not, who knows? What I do know is this. Between Dargan and Roby, whose docket I'm going to show you next.
Okay.
Here's the docket for Roby. These folks had a total of 8 attorneys between them.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Marcus Mitchell has none. Meanwhile, other water protectors have gone without representation and without support. And again, you see Bruce Nestor's name on the court docket for the other defendant, Matthew Roby.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember who Matthew Roby is? Let me give you a reminder. Here is a picture of him in Flint, Michigan. He's that veteran. Notice his hat. He's wearing a hat from Solon, North Dakota, from the saloon. I've brought up that Last Chance Saloon on my show. Remember when Jordan Sheridan, it was one of the hangouts for Jordan Sheridan, for Ed Higgins, for Jesse L. Nicky, for all of the infiltrators.
Yeah.
And also for the cops. They hung out that was a staging area, according to Wes Clark. That's what Wes Clark told me. That was a staging area.
I believe it.
And in this picture is Aylin Axiali at the Camp Promise Flint, okay? And it says found manifesting. The reason that is because this guy's code name at camp was Manifest. Oh, yeah, I know your code name. Aylin. Her code name is Starfish.
Ah.
Oh. Okay, I don't even want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care.
Yeah.
But I digress. Here's another one of him at camp. You remember who he was with?
Yes.
Grandma Regina,
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Peckham, Ed Higgins,
Yeah.
Evan Duke,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea Lyons,
Yep.
Jordan Sheridan. And we could go on and 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 on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to recommend to all of you folks that want a primer on all of the stuff I've covered on this. You
Yeah.
need to go back and watch all my shows. Veterans Stand, Respond, and Beyond, parts 1, 2, and 3. Go check all of that out. You need to know. I think I know, Marcus Mitchell, why The Intercept didn't help you. You should watch my show, Intercepted.
Yeah.
And everyone besides Marcus Mitchell that hears this show also should watch my show, Intercepted, to find out why the intercept has been intercepted. You know, and why are they dropping the ball on so many things? Why were they featuring frauds, phonies, and criminals?
Yeah.
Like Mike Fasig.
Yeah. Mike Fasig.
You know, and the Water Protector Legal Collective, specifically Bruce Nestor and Jeff Haas, were running around doing panels with the Intercept talking about their clients, their great, amazing hero client, Mike Fasig.
Yeah.
Mike Fasig.
Wow.
Meanwhile, people like Mitchell, people like Bravo One, a.k.a. Brennan Nastasio,
They're erased.
Kathleen Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
they can't be bothered. They can't be bothered.
No.
You see how this is starting to add up? How it's starting to mount up to looking like more than a whoopsie doodle here?
No, it's consistent. It keeps on coming. You know, it's not just one thing and then it's like, wow, that was weird that happened 3 months ago. They are doing things on top of themselves. I've seen that they've pretty much expunged Bravo One from their webpage. And they pretty much had him on on their webpage really explaining these federal charges, you know, if one from the state charges to the federal charges, and now he doesn't exist anymore. And people are going out and talking about Red Fawn. They're talking about Michael Marcus. They're talking about Little Feather. And Brennan doesn't exist. This Marcus Mitchell doesn't exist. You know, it's like they are erasing them. And it's like they're giving marching orders to people to create this narrative to erase these people that really need the community's help. And we need to keep on this. This is our justice system that has been basically unjust to people this whole period of time, from the very beginning of what Morton County did, and all those other officers, and the state of North Dakota, and the National Guard. These are things that were, you know, should not have happened in our state. And working with paramilitary contractors, working with mercenaries, they need to be held accountable to their behavior. But the people that are going to trial are being dumped by the legal people that were supposed to be at the front of protecting people's rights, and they're promoting themselves.
Documenting the violations.
Yeah, and documenting the violations.
Bringing
lawsuits. I mean, they,
haven't heard of a
you
single
know,
one.
there's not nothing. You know, they say 2 or 3 on their website that have no traction on anything.
I never seen it.
These people are not helping, and they promote themselves as they are, and they raised millions and millions and millions of dollars to do it, and aren't doing that job. They need to be held accountable.
Yeah. Y'all need some explaining to do. You need some explaining to do over at the WPLC. And if you want more details, I covered all of the stuff that was happening to Brennan in a lot of different shows. One of them in particular, I Need a Hero, kind of goes through some of the BS that he's had to deal with. Again, you should go back and watch Not Real Progressives if you want to find out the connections between this Gonzalez dude that interviewed Mitchell on Monday. Now, and it's going to be very important for y'all to go watch all those veterans shows that I did, and also go back and watch, you know, some of the other connections to the media stuff as well in Real Idiots parts 1, 2, and 3. That stuff is chock full of information. But moving right along,
Okay.
I want to show you the docket for Mr. Mitchell. Now, Mr. Mitchell, as you will see, was represented by Chad Nodlin, and I told you he withdrew, right?
Yes.
And so this man was left without an attorney, without support from the WPLC. In essence, he was turned away, according to him, right? And of course, I would love to have him on so that I could get all those details.
Yeah.
But what's very interesting about the connections here with Mitchell, to me, and with the Chad Nodlin, is how we were cut off from communication as soon as we started talking about Kathleen Bennett's case. Do you remember that?
I sure do. In fact, he was even saying he didn't work for the Water Protector Legal Collective. And I said, well,
Jeff Haas said that to me in that
and
interview.
and they're wordsmithing attorneys of, okay, well, let me put it in the framework. You are receiving money from the Water Protector Legal Collective. You don't work for them, but you're a retained attorney that's representing clients that have asked the Water Protector Legal Collective and Freshet for help. Is that correct? Yes. But if you say, oh, you're working for the Water... No, I don't work in their office. I'm not one of their people that goes into their office every day. No, I don't work for them. So it's a good way to basically avoid the question. But we were questioning. He came to us and said, we are bailing people out of jail. We need your help. Mm-hmm. We have the person paying the bail. They have the bail money. I'm going to help coordinate. Are you willing to help out? And we're like, yeah, we'll help out. And that is something we can do. And we like we've reported before. We've talked about this before. We've had interviews with people that came here. We had 75 people come through our house in little 5 weeks.
And I have to say, it feels a little bit strange knowing that Chad Nodlin had a problem with us documenting and broadcasting the injuries and the abuses that Morton County inflicted upon water protectors. Mm-hmm. And he also encouraged, according to Mr. Mitchell, apparently he was also encouraging Mr. Mitchell to keep quiet about his story because it could mess up his criminal case somehow.
Yeah, I guess.
I get it. You're supposed to try to leverage whatever you have, but very, very clearly some people were totally left in silence and erased, and some people were not. These cases seem very egregious to me.
Yeah.
Now, remember that I did an interview with Jeffrey Haas about Ed Higgins and Activate Now and Myron Dewey and Digital Smoke Signals.
Yeah.
Where they used their platforms to say that the WPLC was going to sue me for libel and slander. They were going to do a class action lawsuit, and I called him. Y'all should go back and listen to that interview if you want to hear what, it was pretty long, so I'm not going to play any of that tonight. But I talked to him about why they were not doing what they claimed they were doing, why they never helped Kathleen Bennett, and why now people that have been their clients and who have been spokespeople and fundraisers for the WPLC were actively threatening a radio station for reporting about their misrepresentation of Kathleen Bennett's case, as they had already taken her bail and bailed her out while they were representing her in a capacity at the time as the people that paid her bail. So why would you, the people that paid her bail, be speaking out against her? And he never did make a public denouncement of what Ed Higgins or
Myron
Dewey did, and that spoke volumes to me about the WPLC's behavior. Not to mention the fact that I found confirmation in the third place that they were actually talking. People were actually talking to the WPLC, and the WPLC was scratching its head and going, can we take some of this money that was meant for water protectors to harass an indigenous woman at a radio station trying to hold us accountable? Is it possible? I guess they came up with the conclusion that no, but they did talk about it because Olive Biased also discussed it in a thread that I showed on a previous show. If you remember all of that, I want you to keep that in your head. Because it's very interesting to me how these same two attorneys, the two attorneys representing Bravo, BJ Nastasio, Brennan Nastasio, the guy that disarmed Kyle Thompson, whom he had to fire, have been doing some really strange things. I'm going to be telling you more about them when I delve deeper into Brennan's case, because they've been involved in some ways in doing things that affected Brennan's case even more recently than I've told you. And so since I last updated you, they've done some other things. And so this is very interesting, including, and this is true, Jeff Haas FaceTiming Samantha Magdaleno.
Oh.
He no longer works for Brennan,
Mm-hmm.
but he FaceTimed her. This is very recent. And it's also very bizarre. I mean, of course it could have been, a butt dial or something, but
Yeah.
there are other circumstances that makes me think that maybe it wasn't just an accident. Anywho, there is a connection there that I want you to remember I brought up to you before, because Mr. Haas wasn't just an attorney with the WPLC and also one of the people sitting on the board of the WPLC that would have heard the many times Kathleen Bennett pleaded for help through various sources, and they turned her away. He also was at the very beginning of Standing Rock talking to his close buddy, his close pal, Mr. Roy McGovern, on his show, on his podcast. If you will recall, he did a podcast. That's not the podcast. That's coming up in a little bit. But I'm telling them about the podcast. If you could actually move forward to that one, that would be cool.
Yep, there it
this is the Law and Disorder. That's the name of his podcast. And as you can see here, it says Attorney Jeff Haas, Bakken Pipeline Construction temporarily halted. Can you read that, Duker?
I will try.
I know you can. I have faith in you.
Yeah, it says last week the U.S. government announced. I have to make this a little bit bigger. It is too small for my eyeballs.
Oh, you can't see it?
Nope, I got it now though. Last week the U.S. government announced that the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline under the Missouri River in North Dakota near Sioux Indian lands had been voluntarily suspended in a joint statement by the Department of the Interior, which interacts with Native Americans, the Department of Justice, and the Army Corps of Engineers, which had granted the permit for the construction, announced that a reconsideration of the process whereby U.S. government receives input from Native Americans under examination. So the fight about water and human rights continues. The guest on this show...
Yeah, let me read this part. I'm going to switch. The guest on this show is National Lawyers Guild attorney Jeff Haas. And they're friends.
Yep.
This is his friend. We're going to talk a little bit more about Roy McGovern, and I'm going to remind you who he is. I've talked about this before, but for the folks out there that haven't heard my shows, I have to make sure I keep everyone on the same page. But this is about Jeff Haas on Roy McGovern's show. It says, Jeff Haas has been just returned from living at the North Dakota encampment with thousands of Native Americans and climate change activists who gathered in solidarity with the Standing Rock Indian Tribe in North Dakota to protest the pipeline construction. Jeff Haas was a founding partner of the People Law Office in Chicago. He victoriously represented the family of Fred Hampton, the chairman of the Chicago Black Panther Party, and provided Fred Hampton that Hampton was assassinated by the FBI and Chicago Police Department. He's also the author of the book, The Assassination of Fred Hampton. Okay, so I wanted to show you that those two folks are connected, and I did a show, and you guys can go back and watch my show, Snoops and Spies. You can watch my show, Sticks and Stones. You can watch my shows about those of you who are paying attention, the reporting that I did on Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Because that's where Roy McGovern was last popping up on the radar. And then shortly thereafter, he was getting dragged out of was it a confirmation hearing for the CIA director?
Yeah, I have that here.
The new confirmation hearing for the CIA director? Yeah. So he got dragged out of there, as you can see.
Yeah.
He was thrown out of the Senate hearing for what's her name? Gina Haspel. And he was exposing. Well, I think everybody knew that they committed war crimes. I mean, the CIA admitted that they had committed torture, right?
Yeah.
So, what do we really know about this guy? Well, he seems to go on Russian television.
He's ex-CIA.
He's ex-CIA. He has also, he's done a lot of denial of Russian collusion. He's very much, he sounds like a broken record on that topic. And this is from the show. He's if you look him up, you could probably find him on a sling, much like he was recently in after he said they dislocated his shoulder when they threw him out of that hearing.
Yeah.
And he was on Democracy Now! He got thrown out of something else before. And this was right around the same time when that comedian Randy Credico was kicked out of the Correspondents' White House dinner.
Okay.
And all of them ended up on Lee Camp's show. And incidentally, Lene DeMoy loves Lee Camp.
Oh, okay.
She goes to his shows all the time. That's the woman that sent me the original video that kicked off the show.
Yeah.
And now we have made a perfect circle.
Yes, we have. We definitely.
So I hope that she tells Lee Camp about this show, because I think that this is going to blow his mind. He likes to, he likes to hang out with a lot. He did hang out with a lot of these phonies. And they do put a lot of nonsense on there. Have you noticed how much nonsense is on there?
Yeah, I actually don't watch Lee Camp anymore. You know, I did it for a while. I remember when I first saw him. I thought, well, who's this long-haired dude? You know, but the whole thing for me is that RT.
It just feels a lot like Russian colluding.
Well, it is. You know, look at Jesse Ventura is part of RT. You know, it's all the people are going to RT. You know, and it's like, I was like, what is this RT? I remember when they were emerging in the United States, and it's like, what's Russian television? It's Russian reporters. This is Russia coming in and doing news. You know, it's like, okay, and then look at where we are now.
Yes. Now, recently, there was actually indictments in the whole Russian collusion thing, and I wanted to play the full the video of the Chris Cuomo interview of Roger Stone asking him about it, but it's too long.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to show you a very short clip where he talks about Ray McGovern. Or did I have more than one?
Let's see what we got here. Nope.
Roger Stone and Chris Cuomo.
Give me a moment to see where we're at in the.
So in this clip that we're about to show you, and you might not have put it in because I don't see it
either.
Roger Stone and Chris Cuomo.
Okay.
And this was I think it's CNN.
Yes.
CNN video.
I'm going to take over your screen for a moment, people.
You can do that.
Taking over your screen.
Does it cover me up?
Yep.
Okay. That's cool. And you need to scroll. There it is. No, that's not it. Keep going. There it is.
There we got it.
Now, that's the whole thing. You want the clip.
Okay.
That's
127.
well, how many are there? Two? Yeah, that's the Ray McGovern clip, and then that's the other one. So there's two of them. You do need both of them. Let's start with the Ray McGovern one, okay?
This one here. Okay.
Yeah. So this was just breathtaking. Wait, no. You know what? I changed my mind. Start with the other one, and I'm going to set it up while you do it, okay?
I'll go get it.
I changed my mind. We're just doing things on the fly. It's getting crazy in here.
Yep, really
Okay, so
getting hot in here.
So let me tell you what was on this, or what's about to be on this video. If you haven't, go check out my Sticks and Stones show, in which I talk extensively about Roger Stone and Sean Stone. Sean Stone is the man that invited Wesley Clark Jr. to go out to Standing Rock. I talked about it in that show. And do you need to open it so you can make it bigger? Or?
Nope, I can do it without.
Okay, cool. So I showed you that there was connections. And again, this has to do with Julian Assange, okay? Because Ray McGovern, do you have the Kim.com thing? I want you to show that too. Oh, wait, no, not yet. I'm sorry, I take it back. I take it all back. I take it back. Well, no, I don't take it back. Put it up.
The Kim.com?
The Kim.com and the Cassandra Fairbanks and Roy McGovern tweet.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The tweet.
The tweet.
And I showed this on my show previously, so you can go back and watch all this. But just want to remind you that the alt-right, including people like Robert Steele, a guy that talks about, he's on InfoWars all the time, and he's a Holocaust denier, and he talks about things like slave colonies on Mars for children. That's the group of people, and then people that interview him all came together with people from the alt-right, like Cassandra Fairbanks, and then people like what's his name, whose show I went on, then he took me off of his show, H.A. Goodman.
Yes.
And they all got together. Ray McGovern was there, all these people, and Caitlin Johnstone.
Oh yeah.
That were all like there to Assange Fest. They had a Reconnect Assange thing.
10-hour broadcast.
Right. And so I started seeing a pattern. I did a show called Publicist for Predators, where I traced all of the shady people associated with this Fitzgibbons group. And of course, this is all connecting to the people that were covering up for Jordan Sheridan, who went to Standing Rock and then went to Flint and ended up raping one of his coworkers, Carly.
Yeah.
And there will be more on that as well. But let me just say that then Roger Stone was asked about these indictments that are coming down. And Chris Cuomo on CNN recently asked him, can you just take that down now?
Sure can.
Chris Cuomo, you can always take him down if I'm not.
I was waiting for you to read it.
Chris Cuomo is actually asking Roger Stone whether or not he's the person being mentioned in these indictments, the Russian indictments. So I want you to show what Stone said, because he now admits that, yeah, he's not being personally named, but they allude to him, and he knows they're talking specifically about him.
Work is that you are the man named, or not named, you are the man suggested in this indictment. I know you've said you don't think you are, but now, what's your answer?
Earlier today, before I had a chance to read this extensive document, I wasn't sure. But I certainly acknowledge that I was in touch with Trump campaign officials, and I have testified under oath to the House Intelligence Committee that I certainly had a 24-word exchange with the persona Guccifer 2.0 over Twitter direct messages. Anyone, any objective person who will read that exchange, which is included in the indictment, will see that based on content, context, and timing, it's benign, it's innocuous. So in retrospect, I think I probably am the person referred to.
Yeah, I mean, look, you put out the direct messages that you had with the person you now call a persona, Guccifer, and it is exactly what is in the indictment. I think we have it if we want to put it up on the screen for people. So clearly, the president, the government, in doing their investigating, is identifying these exact same communications. So there was no reason to ever deny it, Roger. It's you.
I never denied that it was me. I just didn't understand the earlier reference. But
those lawyers.
So he knows they're coming, right?
Yeah.
But he's standing strong on the idea, and this is, I think, the only thing that is tethering the Trump administration to the ground at this point. The wild hope that they've put enough ducks in a row, that they've put enough people in place, including this new appointee to the Supreme Court, so they can literally do a hostile takeover of our democracy. And I hope America doesn't let them. I'm praying for you, America.
And I believe you.
I'm praying for you, America.
I totally believe you. I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't even consider that. They think you're like,
oh, that's what they're doing.
You're crazy, and it's like, no, I see the signs. I see all this stuff that's going to lead to us being taken over. And it's like any of these provisions that we just think about how you've been losing your rights over the years and over the years and over the years. And look at how people of color never had any rights. Look how the white people who have always had the rights is not being taken over. We complained about our privacy laws. There's cameras everywhere now. We complained about the having due process in our court systems. There's children in cages in the border. There's people who are detained. They're seeking asylum and thrown in jail for years without any due process. This stuff is going backwards fast, and you're going to sit there and think that, oh, that stuff's not possible. That can't happen here. Well, so I do believe you.
Oh, and listen, they had a private meeting. There was nobody else in there except for the interpreter, and she's already been subpoenaed now.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah, and as we were seeing in the news last night, he doesn't like stenographers to be in the room, and he sneaks around to get away from them so they can't document what he says. What is he hiding? Plus, let me just tell you, in Russia, they've been talking about and announcing after he left that they're going to go ahead and begin implementing the deals the agreements that Trump made on behalf of the United States to Russia. What was that stuff? I don't know. But the Russians, they've been told by their media that they're getting stuff, that stuff is happening on behalf of America in their favor in these agreements that were made behind closed doors that none of the American people get to know about. If you don't think that Trump has been selling this country her secrets piecemeal, piece by piece, cutting it up like a pie to give to foreign countries, and he says there's more than one, I think I might have an idea what the other one is.
Oh, yeah?
I think I might.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe you can ask the Young Turks.
Oh, there you go. Who's the other country?
I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can ask the Young Turks.
Let's ask the Young Turks. They might know.
They might know. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. So, here's what Roger Stone had to say recently with regard to the question. Okay, now that you have seen what the most recent indictment of this Russian spy who questioned Trump in 2015 prior to his running for president on what kind of Russian deals, would you continue sanctions? How would you do Russia? And he was like, I don't think we need to do that. I would get along with Putin. And it's like everything that he's always said, he was always thinking and talking this way about Russia, folks. He's always been saying this. I don't really know what clicked in the minds of most Americans when they saw the treason happening in front of them, because it was a slippery slope to treason, right? He didn't just fall out of the sky with treason. He's been building up to it like a naughty kid reaching up for the cookie jar, you know?
Exactly.
And y'all let him reach, and you let him keep reaching. You saw the pussy grabbing and the baby cages, and you just kept looking away. And now here you are, right? Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, honey. The president said it. This is the times we live in.
That's right.
I saw you writing down that you have to take out that word, but the president said, I'm reporting a quote from the president.
I know.
Like he said out of his mouth hole.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as you know, Roger Stone is in great denial about this. So here's what he had to say in his response about clearly, you know that these indictments that show that there's a Russian here in America that was told by the Russian government, sanctioned by the Russian government, to come and make alliances, create back channels to important politicians and policy makers so that she could affect policy on behalf of Russia for and from the orders of the Russian government. And that, yes, the president, the Kremlin, Putin, as we say in Spanish, Putin, he knew about it. Putin knew about this, sanctioned it, and this woman, incredibly, was making public statements at her university on more than one occasion, her professor said. Public statements to the classroom and to other people that she was going to be an influencer in the White House on behalf of her country for Russia.
Yeah.
She was saying this like
out loud.
I'm going to be very
public.
important. I'm going to influence the White House on behalf of the Kremlin. And she was saying this publicly, and she was guaranteeing that she could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what? Based on what? I'm asking. So, knowing all of the stuff I just told you about this newest of indictments against the Russian spy, I want to show you how Roger Stone responded to this. Take a listen.
Are unproven in a court of law, but you can't read this indictment, I don't think, in conjunction with the last indictment that we had of almost a dozen people, and the other indictments that have come out, and the intelligence community assessment of what happened, and the Senate Intelligence Committee assessment of what happened, and not face the reality that the United States was hacked by Russia during the election. Will you accept that as fact?
No, I'm sorry. I think it is still unproven. There's an enormous amount of forensic evidence that points to a conclusion based on the download times that there was no hack and that the material, the alleged hacked material, was downloaded to some kind of a portable drive. I don't know. That's why I'd like to see a trial. The Nation magazine, in an extensive article based on the findings of Bill Binney and Ray McGovern.
These guys have had subpoena power and the complete tools of the United States government. They've been looking at it for months. They detail who did it, how they did it, how they conspired, the different types of malware they developed, the different ways they paid with cryptocurrency, fake servers to funnel the information, how they approached WikiLeaks, who they call Organization One, not exactly sure why, and they refer to you and how you were approached, how they developed DC Leaks, how they developed Guccifer. They lay it all out. Why fight the conclusion? Because you're in a very small group now. It's really you and the president.
Yeah.
It's really just you and the president.
Well, he's the one that made the president,
Oh, I bet they have room for Cassandra.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's not in Russia.
No.
The Russians they indicted out there, they're not coming here because there's no extradition treaty with Russia, so they're never coming back here again.
Mm-hmm.
And that Russian spy that got caught here, she's got to go. Mueller, if you're listening, call me.
Yes, exactly.
I can tell you all the names of each and every one of the people that were working ops, that were engaged in ops on behalf, paid for by, sponsored by Russians.
Yeah.
I think Cassandra's definitely on that list somewhere.
Oh, she should be.
Because she was the go-between between Assange and Roger Stone. She talked to Guccifer, right?
Yes.
Let's not forget all of the things that they did. But for a moment, I want to bring you back to Mr. Ray McGovern.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you notice that Stone just said, the article in The Nation based on Bill Binney and Ray McGovern.
I know.
Okay, well, let's look at that article in The Nation. What does it say? It's actually consortiumnews.com that I found this article that talks about it. This is crazy, Duke. This
Yeah.
is insane. This is the kind of time that we're living in right now in this country. The president of the United States of America sides with a Russian dictator against his own intelligence community in America, right next to the dictator, just standing there
Yeah.
right next to him, and says this, and then blames America for any relationship problems, even though they're the ones that hacked our election and hijacked our democracy. And this president cannot confront. I mean, how can you? I mean, those are the basic tenets of being a president. You're supposed to protect our country, right?
Yes.
He can't do that. He can't even do that. And he can't read briefings. He can't stay on message. He cannot do it.
No.
It's terrifying to watch. But this is how people communicate with the president now. They talk to him through his favorite shows on Fox. They talk to him through the news interviews that they're doing with other reporters. And they write him open letters in the media like this one that was in the consortium.com. And it is a memo to the president ahead of the summit in Helsinki, Finland, to try to get him to, this, I think, and Ray McGovern and Bill Binney and Roger Stone are the morons responsible for convincing the morons, and Bill Moron probably too.
Yes, exactly.
The morons responsible for convincing President Trump to stand up there and glad hand Putin.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably the ones that did it, because this memo says the following, and I quote, "Forensic studies of Russian hacking into Democratic National Committee computers last year reveal that on July the 5th, 2016, data was leaked, not hacked, by a person with physical access to a DNC computer. After examining metadata from the Guccifer 2.0, July 5, 2016 intrusion into the DNC server, independent cyber investigators have concluded that an insider copied DNC data onto an external storage device. Key among the findings and the independent forensic investigations is the conclusion that the DNC data was copied onto a storage device at a speed that far exceeds an internal capability for a remote hack."
Huh.
President Trump, again, doesn't read briefings.
That's right. Doesn't read the briefings.
But I wonder if he read this one, or somebody read it to him, or if Roger Stone told him, you gotsta. Because he pretty much decided that he was going to ignore the millions and millions of dollars evidence collected by the United States intelligence community, the lives that were lost, the people, I mean, like, and this was something that Scaramucci was saying to him prior to him getting back. So after this nightmare, that he did in Helsinki, Scaramucci also tried to message him through the television in an interview to get him to fix it. He was like, "You did it bad.
Yeah, you did it bad.
Really bad. Backpedal, jump, run." Like, he was like, if there is a salvation to this, if there is a fixing of it, it needs to be done thusly. And I'm going to share with you. By the way, I want to just comment a little. I have to ask you a question.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to address this nonsense that passes for, I guess, CIA vetted because of Ray McGovern, CIA, ex-CIA, whatever, vetted statement. I mean, what independent forensic investigations? You mean independent of our intelligence community with the best resources in the world, but Ray McGovern did a better job? Bill Binney did it. I mean, that sounds like the name of the bunny I had when I was in grade school. Bill Binney doesn't even sound like a real person.
No, it doesn't.
Why are you giving more credence to this? And of course, remember I told you Ray McGovern flopped on the floor and got his hand in a cast.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I dislocated my shoulder right around the same time that comedian Randy Credico, the other guy that was supposed to be that journalist that Roger Stone had identified. I told you all about this a while back. Go back and watch some of my old shows and you will see I've already laid this out for you. I laid all of this out for you guys was it almost a year ago I started covering
I remember
all
we started talking
details.
about Roger Stone. I think, who's this Roger Stone? Who's Roger Stone? Wait a minute, there's a Netflix special. It says, who's Roger Stone? Mm-hmm. It's kind of a documentary. I think these guys have been able to embed themselves to the point of where they have been controlling things. And now basically stuff's hitting the fan.
Oh, yes.
And they're trying to get out of the way and blame it on someone else. I was sitting there about 2 weeks ago and I was thinking, where's Roger Stone? Where is Roger Stone? He should be highlighted right front and center because he made this president. He made this mess. And he's got a lot of people that he's done this mess with too. And this is the whole thing the last show you did that had Roger Stone and Cassandra Fairbanks taught me so much about Stone that I was like, I've been watching for him. And it was just the clip we just watched. That we watched it last night, but it was it was just recently recorded. I think it was very, very recent that clip was actually done. And it's like they still haven't indicted him. And that confuses me, even though he's named in there, and he admitted that it's definitely me in these indictments. How come he isn't being subpoenaed? He already did go testify. We covered that the last time we did a show on him. That he did testify and talked about Guccifer and all these sorts of things, So he said his job has been done, that he's given all the information. None of the information has changed. Why isn't he indicted? I think that's good enough. His stuff he did before.
I think it's coming.
I think it's coming.
It's coming. I can feel it. I think it's coming. It's going to be delicious when it comes.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like,
a good sandwich. Yeah.
I have been waiting for this. So anyway, Scaramucci tried to tell through the television to Trump or any of his aides or, White Jesus, whoever was listening, please make Trump take it back. Tell him he fell down and hit his head or like anything, but he had to take it back. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but here's a clip of what he told Trump he needed to do and how he needed to do it.
He seemed to want to have a good relationship with Vladimir Putin over a good relationship with his own intelligence agencies.
Well, you see, that's where I think the dilemma is. I think that he's made a very big mistake here. He's got to reverse course immediately.
What would that look like? Reversing
you
course
live in the
immediately.
city? Do you live in the city?
I live outside the city.
Okay, so in the city about 3 or 4 years ago, a couple of police officers unfortunately were killed. The entire police department turned their backs on Mayor de Blasio. I don't know if you remember that situation.
Remember that.
He reversed course. Okay, Mayor de Blasio and I are different parties, and I'm not in love with the guy. But his course reversal was very, very smart. We have the lowest crime rate now in the city.
So just show me what
He's got to reverse course.
What would that look like today? What can President Trump come out today and say and do that you think would be effective?
His smartest, most loyal aides and his smartest, most trusted advisors that are super loyal to him have got to get to him right now and say, listen, this is a grave mistake, okay? You've got the German foreign minister speaking out against us, the optics of the situation. You're an aesthetic guy and you're a media guy. The optics situation are a disaster. I understand the course objective, but we got to change strategy.
But again, so what today could the president say to the American people that would allow us to unhear what we heard yesterday?
I'd be issuing a statement. If you go back to Charlottesville, the president had it right in the early part. He came back to the White House. He issued a statement after Charlottesville. Then he went to the press conference in the Trump Tower.
And both sides.
And then he made that statement, which I think was a regrettable statement. But he's got to get out there right now. This is a
And just craft that statement for me. Just tell me the statement
I think the
that
statement,
would make us unhear that he blamed America.
I think the statement is very simple, that after talking to Dan Coates and my team, the evidence is obviously irrefutable. We spend, $30-40 billion acquiring this evidence. Men and women have lost their lives acquiring this intelligence. These are my people. I'm the commander-in-chief. I've looked at the evidence, and I misspoke at the press conference yesterday. And so
let me tell you something.
Anthony Scaramucci, your heart may be in the right place, but you're not directing your message to all of the right people. You didn't get to Roger Stone.
Yeah.
You didn't get to Ray McGovern, to Bill Binney. You didn't get to the people that are in Trump's ear that are telling him the opposite of what you're saying. You need to get them to retract their bad advice, because there can be no course correction for Trump or his administration at this point. I mean, it's already crashed.
Yeah.
Like, by the time you notice the treason, he'd already betrayed your country, and he's been doing it for a very long time. Now he's just trying to cover up how badly and how much of you he's sold out. And he doesn't want you to know, right? So he had to eat crow and tell everyone what he does know. This is, by the way, I just want to show that picture of Roger Stone and Cassandra Fairbanks again, because I want to remind you all that she was the person that interviewed Guccifer 2.0, right? She's also the go-between on WikiLeaks between Julian Assange and Roger
Stone. Yes.
Not Randy.
No.
Not Randy. And Randy Credico and the story, what happened with him and Roy McGovern right after all this stuff happened, was interestingly covered on Russian television stuff, and Lee Camp and that whole H.A. Goodman, that whole circle of media people that we started telling you about, right?
Yep.
Crazy stuff.
It is for sure.
You can't even make this stuff up.
No.
This is like out of crazy town. So Scaramucci and those who want to get to Trump need to get to the people that are putting these crazy ideas in his head. He did, and by the way, just what Scaramucci said to do, which is he needs to say this. Somebody needs to write a script for him, and he needs to have a message. He needs to put a message out. They did. They tried to anyway. They tried to get President Trump to say he did the wrong thing. I did the wrong thing. And Scaramucci did it so well. If only Trump would have done it like that, even just reading it, because it would have sold it so much better. You heard what he said. We have spent millions of dollars. We have done so much research. People have put in so much time. Men and women have lost their lives for this information. Of course I believe it. Of course I believe my intelligence community. Of course I trust this information. These are the facts. I am wrong. I was wrong. Anthony Scaramucci goes on in his interview on CNN to say, I mean, he's making excuses for the president basically, but he says that he believes that the president misspoke. He's doing a Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I wish that they must be paying. That he can't just have one press secretary. He needs a whole horde of them.
Yeah.
To try to keep him under control, but they just can't keep him on leash, But Scaramucci was talking, in very trying to figure out what was in the head of Trump, other than they've got something on him. He's already sold out to the Russians. So, so he's trying to make excuses for him, and he says he believes that the president was trying to not seem like, he wasn't open to working with this guy. So he did. And I'm like, no, Trump is rude as hell to everyone. He calls for violence against people of color, Mexicans, and Muslims in his rallies, which have led to actual violence against those people. He makes fun of the disabled. He's a misogynist that asks for women to be grabbed by their genitals. He doesn't know the meaning of etiquette. He walked in front of the Queen on his way to Helsinki.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me Scaramucci was trying to be polite? That's your excuse? He was trying to be extra. So he can only be polite to tyrants, and he can't be polite to our allies. He's calling the European Union our enemies?
Or even the people in this country, people of color in this country.
What he did in Helsinki was so breathtakingly shocking that we forgot to talk about all the horrible things he did on his way there.
Yes. Yeah.
In the UK and at the summit, like Germany, all of our allies, as Scaramucci said, are going, this is our enemy now. And the only friends we have now are dictators and despots.
Yep.
I should name a show that. Dictators and despots. Like that's all we got.
Dictators.
Left. Dictators and despots. And we can go down the list of all of Trump's and yours, America, your new allies and friends, the murderers, genocidal psychopaths, and despotic dictators who are now the allies of America, I guess, because that's all we've got left. Because President Trump has alienated everyone else and cozied up to and sold out to, these dictators. Mm-hmm. So, here is the attempt from Trump to say he misspoke. Big fail.
Let me begin by saying that, once again, the full faith and support for America's intelligence agencies. I have a full faith in our intelligence agencies. Oops, they just turned off the light. That must be the intelligence agencies. There it goes. Okay. You guys okay? That was strange.
I don't know. Have you ever seen the lights go out on a president before?
I got the
sorry.
wrong clip there. I've been making all sorts of technical mistakes tonight. Sorry about that, folks.
It's okay. I will get to that in a minute. That also happened, by the way. But let me go find the clip where President Trump tries to apologize for what he said in Helsinki. This is President Trump.
Okay, this one.
No. That's the videotape of him saying
Okay. This is
the horrible stuff
this is
in
one where
Helsinki.
This is the one where it goes dark, right?
Nope.
Okay.
This is the one where he talks and he says, I misspoke.
So I got the wrong clip here.
Can you?
Let me begin by saying
That's
that,
the correct one.
Okay.
Once again,
Well, why
I have
can't
the
you just
correct
play
one.
it?
There we go.
let me begin by saying that, once again, the full faith and support for America's intelligence agencies. I have a full faith in our intelligence agencies. Oops, they just turned off the light. That must be the intelligence agencies.
No, there was another one, honey. I don't think that you put them all in. There was another video clip. That's the one where he's in the dark. I wanted the first one. Trump, you have one? The one that has a number 1 next to it? Is that the one? No, that's not it. How Trump would, yes, that's the one. Would, that's the one. The first one is where he says he changes the word from wouldn't to would.
Okay.
And
take over the screen.
That was what he was supposed to have said first, Mm-hmm. Which was this is the explanation that he gave. It is lame, as many of almost every reporter, including people at Fox News, were very upset with what he did in Helsinki. I don't know how many people were able to make excuses for him and give him a pass. But I didn't hear of very many people that were making excuses for what he did and trying to say that this excuse that he gave, because what he's going to say in this video is that he misspoke, that he accidentally said would. I don't know why. I don't know why it wouldn't be Russia, rather than what he actually said was would. So here he is trying to correct himself, saying that he made a mistake.
Key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought I would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia.
Oh boy.
So that was supposed to be a believable statement. And the actual Helsinki statement was very, very clear. I'm going to play it for you. This is what he said in Helsinki.
Trying to find it. 1 moment. Here it is.
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
Very clearly said would. He very, very clearly said, I don't know why it would be. He even emphasized the word would be. That wasn't a mistake. And here's the difference between, I'm going to say something. I don't know if y'all will agree with me or not. But when you do something as horrible as what Trump did, you can't lie your way out of that way. It's insulting. It's beyond insulting. It's like I found the nude pictures of your mistress on your phone kind of wrong, and you still trying to tell me that those are just some random stranger must have sent the photos to the wrong number.
Just spam that got on there somehow. I didn't have
Yeah,
anything
like,
to do with that, you know.
If you've been caught red-handed with absolutely 100%, and you try to tell me some lie that I'm supposed to believe you and not be upset with you, you're not even going to apologize to me.
No.
You don't intend to tell me that what you did was terribly, terribly wrong and that you need to make amends for that. The only way an apology from the president would work is that way. The only way anybody wouldn't think, I mean, that needs to be given a whole new name. What he did when he was like, I just changed one word, and that's trumped up.
Yeah, that's trumped up.
Oh, it ended our video. I think our broadcast. Well, it says somehow on here that it was. I don't know, it's weird. Maybe Nemo can tell me if it seems.
Your video's been stopped.
Why?
I don't know. We're still.
No.
We're not broadcasting anything. We're still on. We still have internet connection.
That's very weird. But they took this.
They took
video
it down.
down
They took it down.
They
stopped it. They
stopped it. On Facebook. They stopped it on Facebook.
Look at this. It's just been stopped.
Right. It's been stopped.
I've never seen that before.
I've never. Well, let me take a picture of it. Okay.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I don't want you to do anything.
I won't do nothing. Okay, just let me know when
I can't.
what to do next.
Stop it. They're trying to do it.
I can do a screenshot too after you're done with that. You take a
fucking phone. Just try to update.
Oh, great.
And I'm like, no, mother. Okay, so I need you.
I'm going to do the screenshot of that.
Wait, I'm going to try to. Can you go on the messages on the show and tell people what happened? Or is that not possible at this point? You were away?
What's going on?
He wasn't even paying and monitoring. Liz just got home, so you just abandoned your post? Thanks.
Okay, people. We are really sorry. I don't think it's anything we did, but we basically, our live stream just stopped. Just stopped. And it says this is stopped. So, we had a good audience. We were talking about Trump.
I've never seen anything like that before.
We've never had it just say your video has stopped and we're just kicked off. We're kicked off the page. You know, I just went back in and I put in the information that this is Trumped Up Part 2. And we still have a show to finish here. We still have some more information that we want to give you.
An audience real quick, okay?
Yeah,
I gotta find us again.
Gotta find us again. You know, it's like it sets us back. You know, and they do this on purpose. You know, and we.
Damn you, Zuckerberg! Damn you to hell!
Exactly, and they've done that before.
What is up with that guy? Can he just not leave us alone? Like, do they have Nazis working at Facebook?
I think so. You know, one of the things they did to us before is, you know, just in the past week where they took Cindy's photo from a wedding, you know, a family event. They've been talking about their new algorithm was supposed to focus on family issues, community issues. That's all we're doing here. And we're doing that in our private life too and using Facebook for that. And we're getting messed around with by that. You know, I'm still going to use this platform until the wheels fall off, though, because you folks are out there, and you know, it's a great platform to start this. There are others.
They can't stop us.
You know, YouTube has a live stream platform. It's a little bit different, you know, and we have the ability to do that, and we can start. You know, we can start doing live streams on multiple platforms. You know, and
y'all. You know what? Every time that they try to block us, take us down, or it just makes more people watch our shows, you're hella ineffective, because then people are like, why doesn't anybody want me to watch a Mexican crossing lines? Why don't they want me to hear this stuff?
Yeah.
It's pretty juicy.
Yep.
It's pretty juicy. Look, I got all the way up to the president. I got all the way up there. Was anybody in the stream, in the comments, kicking and screaming as I went all the way up? No, please don't say nothing about that guy. No, don't call that one out. No, not him too. Please hold back. If you saw somebody squirming away, screaming and, you know, having it was like you're pulling teeth to tell them the truth, something's wrong with that person.
Yeah.
Something's very wrong with them. I'll tell you why. Because these people have been protecting, defending, and helping criminals, rapists, frauds, people that hurt others. So we are going to call them out.
Yes.
We speak the truth here about what happened in the Kathleen Bennett case, in what's happening currently, what has happened in the Brennan case. Nemo, if you can hunt for us where the information is to support Brennan's case and throw it in the comments section. I know we had it on one of our past shows as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to what we were talking about with regards to Trump. We
yes.
got all
the way to Trump.
Up to Trump, right?
Yep.
We got all the way up to Trump. And I showed you Trump can't stay on message. Let's try this again, Duke. Okay, let's try it. We get a whole new chance to do this.
That's right.
Show them when Trump said what he said.
Okay,
he made a mistake about. Trump would. You were right on it.
Okay, good.
You're starting off.
There we go.
Key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought it would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's right. And this is what he actually said in Helsinki. And it's not a mistake. This was not a mistake.
Yeah, definitely did. And here, this was taken from just a clip of him saying exactly what he's apologizing for.
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
Yeah, exactly. why it would be, why it wouldn't be. You know, it's like that I was watching that. You know, I remember sitting there watching that, and I was kind of like, what? What did he just say? Because I was already like, what is he doing? The posturing. There'd been a lot of buildup in the media about this meeting and what was going to be accomplished and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, nothing's going to be accomplished, you know. But then I saw what he did with the Allies and what he did in Britain to the Queen, and I thought, wow, Monday is going to come and we're going to see some interesting stuff there.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to switch back to you, but the video is going to start again. It's going to roll again until I click it off. So just hold on.
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was very emphatic. He said it with emphasis. I don't see any reason why it would be. Like the way that a snide comment is made, like, there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
But he's always said that. That wasn't a mistake. If you go back and listen to every time that President Trump has talked about Russia, he's done it the same exact way.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I don't think so. That's not happening. I don't believe it. He's talked negatively about the FBI. He's been showing us. He's been going on this slippery slope for a while. But the best part and the most interesting one was where the part where he was trying to say with a straight face that he has full faith in the reporting of the CIA, and then the lights went out.
Yeah, I've got to put that in.
You already had it, and you played it like
I did?
a couple of times. Yeah, you played it several times.
Okay.
And
I've got it mislabeled or something in here, so it's like, I don't see which one it is. It's probably one that says there. I'm sorry. I'm off today. Let's see. Helsinki. This one, probably.
Let me begin by saying that, once again, the full faith and support for America's intelligence agencies. I have a full faith in our intelligence agencies. Oops, they just turned off the light. That must be the intelligence agencies. There it goes. Okay. You guys okay? It was strange.
I don't know. Have you ever seen the lights go out on a president before? If that wasn't the work of God and Robert Mueller, I don't know what it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't either. I was thinking the same thing. And when the lights came back up, and it was
He turned into a crab. Yeah.
He was like, his body language, he was holding himself. I kind of thought maybe he was rocking back and forth a little bit. He looked around the room. Everyone else is just chill.
Mm-hmm. The lights went out.
The rest, I know why. The rest of them have a clear conscience, Trump. That's why they were like, oh, Jesus, God. It's God, he's coming.
Yeah, he was scared. He even said, I think it's intelligent. And also, if you notice that he doesn't keep his hands out, he hides his hands, and both hands on the inside, right. You know, which is, in body language, when you study body language, when someone's like this, they're closed off. When they hide their hands, they're even more closed off, and they're usually lying.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a big sign of that. But he tends to sit like that in meetings all the time. I notice that. It's like, look at Trump the way he's sitting in this meeting.
I just have to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think that the person responsible for that will be fired? Because how do you embarrass the president in a moment of crisis this big by turning down the light at that exact moment and him not come down the hall ready to fire? Heads will roll. I don't care if that was a mistake. If you just leaned in on the dimmer, you're fired.
Yeah, really.
He wants to say you're fired to that person more than he has on any of his game shows. Exactly. I guarantee it. Do you think that they will be able to find that person and fire them?
I think so. I think they're going to fire a lot of people. They just kicked us off Facebook again. They kicked us off Facebook.
They're doing it on purpose.
They're doing it on purpose. They're saying, nope.
Because they're talking about Trump.
Nope, we are broadcasting nothing. We're recording still.
No. What if we finish recording it and then we put it on?
Okay.
Let me just finish, because you're still right?
Because I can. Yeah, I'm still recording. Yeah.
So you can just put the whole thing on and play it.
Yeah, we'll play part 2.
Okay. Okay, then let me just say, that I thought it was, like incredible that he actually had this very visible reaction of fear that everybody could see. Like, there is somebody that has I hope there's still some kind of a conscience on his part. And he looked very uncomfortable as he looked around the room and checked in with everyone. Are you guys okay? Am I okay? Like, oh, wow. So, I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to just keep this live stream going, and I'll put it back up. I'll make sure that when we do put it back up, we let people know that this video that is playing is the full second part, even though Facebook had taken off the first one.
Yeah.
But I wanted to finish by telling you what the effect of that is, what the effect of all of this meddling has been, because we've seen it all the way up to the president and the horrible mistake that he made in Helsinki. But let me remind you of where we started with water protector Marcus Mitchell, who claims that he was dumped by the WPLC, that he was not helped by Unicorn Riot, not helped by the Intercept. I'd like to know how many other people that didn't get help. And Brennan has the same story. And Kathleen Bennett has the same story.
Yeah.
The WPLC failed her. It appears also Marcus. And we know what they've done in Brennan Nastasio's case.
Yes.
If you recall what Mitchell looked like, he looked pretty bad with his eye shot out, his injuries. We showed a video on part 1. If you can go back and see for yourself, I told you all about how bad his injuries are. These lawyers from the WPLC should have filed claims against Morton County for some of these heinous crimes and abuses. I don't believe that they did what their fiduciary responsibility was, which was telling people. They were telling people as they were collecting these millions about some of these injuries. They were making money off of the fact that these water protector heroes were out there doing things like what Bravo did when he disarmed Kyle Thompson. And remember that Jeffrey Haas, the fired attorney for Brennan, and the other attorney was Bruce Nestor.
Yes.
He was on the WPLC board.
Yes, I remember that.
He was on the board. Why is all of this so important at this particular time? Well, let me tell you, and this is for my show coming up. I have a doozy for you. Let me tell you. Go back to that Roby guy, the veteran Stand for Standing Rock guy that was with Grandma Regina and Ed Higgins here of Activate Now and Aubrey Peckham of Activate Now.
Yeah.
So many Activate Now people. Well, here's another one for you. Her name is Aylin, and she's the one in the picture with Matthew Roby. There it is. Up, right there.
There it is. Got it right there.
And it's Aylin Axiali. She's changed her name on Facebook from Aylin Altanuk. That's her real name. And my next show, I will be diving deep into the history of Aylin and what she's all about.
Yeah.
But I want to give you a little teaser before I let you go. Those of you who missed the first part, that's the most important part. That's the meat and potatoes of this whole show. Go back and watch that. And let me share for you right now that right around the time of the summertime when all of the crazy stuff was going on, when they dropped the state charges on Bravo, when the camps were closed and all that crazy stuff happened, where Lacey Jean Williams was raped. Remember that there was a video and you know, we talked about the fact that Mike Fassig of Activate Now coerced this woman to go on a video and lie to people so that he could exonerate himself for participating in a kidnapping and a rape with his son and Aubrey Peckham. And around that time, Aylin was hanging out with Fassig.
Yeah.
all the way over in Minneapolis. Here is a little clip of her talking with Mike. This is a live stream. Let's listen.
I'm live now. AYLIN. AYLIN.
You can hear him in the background.
Yeah.
Hi, Tabitha. I want to give a little update. I noticed that I don't really post that much about what I'm doing, like, personally, and I appreciate all of you, like, you know, hanging in there as I post, like, actual, like, personal updates every now and then. Hey, hello. I wanted to talk about, so let me give a recap of what I've been doing in the last couple days. So, as many of you know, I kind of went on a road trip. I was supposed to go to a Rondi in California, which was an Earth First Rondi, in the hope that I would expand my contacts into organizations that, like, pro-ecological organizations that have been around for, like, decades, right? Hey guys. So in the hope of doing that, because these people, like Earth First, they have literature out, you know, that they've been around for decades. The people that are in that organization have organizational experience that span for years and years. So they've already committed the mistakes that we've made already or that we're about to make. So branching out and diversifying our range of tactics and our information that is available to us is essential for our continued survival as a movement, you know. So that kind of fell through when me and David were in Omaha, Nebraska, and because the camp that he was in contact with, White Pine in Pennsylvania, the injunction passed to allow for a raid. So that raid is now imminent. There is Tiger Swan there in force. They have a small group of people, but they're very well coordinated and they have experience. In order to get in front of that earlier on, he caught a flight out in Omaha. So then I went to Eagle Butte Camp, made contact there, and then went to Bismarck to talk about my court case with my lawyer. Yeah, of course you can share. Hi guys. And so after talking with my lawyer about my court case, which the court date is still pending, I met up with Mater, who is still working with a defector from DAPL. So then I was like, that's really fucking interesting. I definitely want to help with that, because that is the information that there's no possible way, unless someone is an infiltrator, we will not be having on our side, you know? So allowing the information to come from defectors and making sure that they're safe, because this particular defector, received threats against her life. Now, it's not a good thing if, like, the first...
Thank you.
There we go. Finally. Whew.
Let me just say, that was really interesting how she talked.
Yeah.
I made contact. Then I did this. And I made contact here. Then I made contact there. How does someone like her, or any of these Standing Rock phonies that we've seen, travel to so many different
across the country? Some of them on bail restrictions, traveling across the country. Some of them leaving the country on bail restrictions, leaving the country.
Well, obviously they weren't given bill restrictions if they could leave the country and fly to Europe. Chase Iron Eyes. Yeah. Obviously some people got some super kind of leniency while others did not. People like BJ never did.
Yeah.
So, I want that to be noted. And I wanted to let you know that not only did she talk very strange, she's talking there about that whole campaign with Michael Fasig, where they were interviewing and propping up Courtney Doctor, meth addict, pipeline worker, supposedly turned defector. They never showed an inch, a lick of evidence from the Fasig football or from any of the things that Courtney Doctor and Kyle Thompson were supposedly going to say or did say or testified to in anyone's case to help get charges dropped or to bring charges against Tiger Swan or anything like that. All of it was just window dressing and a bunch of different media places propped up that nonsense, including the WPLC using their own Facebook page and press releases to promote these criminals. Kyle Thompson, Courtney Doctor. That's what Aylin wanted to do to help promote criminals. And here's the kicker. She just showed up in Samantha's backyard in Michigan, not literally in her backyard, but you know what I mean, in her neck of the woods in the state of Michigan, and took up a job with doing immigration work with one of Sam's relatives.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to her, of course, without her blessing or desire. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a very good communication with that relative, and it's kind of sad because he's going to have someone very destructive and damaging within his organization that harms people, that does harm to people. I'm going to show you the evidence of what she has done. It's very Higgins-like, or shall I say Chelsea Lyons-like, or shall I say Aubrey Peckham-like.
Yes.
Where these people go, disaster follows, and bad things happen to good people. I'm going to bring you all of the details on that on my next show here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. But I just want to remind you of something really important about these other people and the differences between the things that they're accusing Brennan of. This guy still hasn't had his trial date set. And they are making him face 15 years in prison. And they have absolutely no evidence. I can tell you as a paralegal, I've looked at the file on Brennan. They don't have evidence that links him to anything. The word of Michael Marcus, a snitch, that was defended by the WPLC along with Olivia Bias and many other people that were involved in bringing false statements against Kathleen Bennett and putting her in jail falsely. Turned state's evidence against Brennan, fingering him as having committed a crime. That's all they have. The word of a snitch. Let me remind you what these snitches, these government informants did at camp. Let me remind you what they're responsible for, because they were all supported, represented, and helped by the WPLC. Mike Fasig and Michael Marcus started the action on the 20th that resulted in the most injuries in militarized police action, and they both got away for what they did scot-free. Do you know all of the people that got injured and hurt that night? They're the ones that were responsible for kicking that all off, for starting the whole thing. They started the HQ on fire at camp. And then Ed Higgins justified that fire in a video he made. They started fires at the closures of camp. People were severely injured in explosions during those fires. No one was ever held accountable for that. People were severely injured in the places where they went to do hurricane relief. The same people, Fasig, Marcus, were involved in BJ's case. They spoke ill of BJ and tried to disparage him. Higgins used his platform to uplift meth-addicted pipeline security workers Kyle and Courtney at the same group of reporters, Vassig, Peckham, and Higgins, were all involved in the recent kidnapping and cover-up of the rape of Lacey Jean Williams. Remember that Michael Marcus thanked the WPLC on one of my previous shows for helping himself and Badger. And Izzy was involved as one of the other drivers that drove, Kyle Thompson off the road. Izzy was arrested along with Mike Fassig's son Derek. And they were caught with a bag of money and drugs. And there was a whole debacle on that. Go back and watch the shows. There's so many things involving real crimes by people that were defended by the WPLC. They got help from the WPLC. But Brennan, Kathleen Bennett, and apparently now Marcus Mitchell were not one of them. Thank you for being here on Mexican Crossing Lines on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Good night.